practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden symbols and messages, as well as all the lyrics of all the pop rock songs. And they all sing the same refrain. It's fun.
This is a special request. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn.
And I'm your co-host, Mitch Chinasa.
And we are here at the very last day of the year.
The last day of the year, our last day at Cannabis Radio.
It's a whole lot of lasts. And a whole lot of firsts coming up.
A whole lot of firsts, whole lot of lasts, endings, beginnings.
Oh my
it's that
God.
Time of year, though. That's what New Year's is about, right?
Yep.
Like this is the time where we
it's the time when
out
you
with the old, in with the new.
Lie to yourself, tell you're going to do something special next year.
See, I always do it a week before. I always see because I feel like if you start it on New Year's Eve, like if you start your gym membership New Year's Day, you're one of those people, right? But if you start it like a week before, you're already in your groove when all those people show up, and you're like, noobs, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well,
so you just, whatever you're gonna do, start it Christmas.
I love it because everybody says they're going to quit. It's always smoking, losing weight, all these things that on that day they just go nuts.
Well, that's
and
your
it's
last hurrah, of course.
Gluttonous, and then it just can't ever pull out of that funk. It's like guaranteed.
Oh, dude, wake up New Year's Day. I need a cigarette.
Just one.
Just one. Man, I'll do this tomorrow. It's still technically an extension because I didn't sleep 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's like till I go to bed.
Right, till I go to bed, exactly. But we got New Year's Eve plans. We're going to be down at Green Labs. Crunchy, who's not going to make it to the show today, will be serving up some of his masterly chefing.
Oh, I saw
alongside
mounds of.
I saw him painting chocolate with gold when I left. Gold painted chocolate.
There we go. Here we go.
So there's going to be that. Incredible's going to be down there with the Milk Bar, and I think Upslope Brewing is sponsoring us with some brews. So we're going to be pairing cannabis and brews, serving it through the Milk Bar. Should be a good time. And if you guys don't have New Year's plans, where can they get tickets for that? Is it just greenlabs.com/New Year's Eve, I think?
I think so. I don't know if they've got them up on.
I think so. I'm going to check.
Double check. You check that, and then. So it's also. I would like to announce the Hunting Hoodlums has finally dropped. We have winners announced. I'm going to actually get to that in a minute too because I have to pull that up on my other page. But
apparently the internet is in Spanish here. I'm getting a Spanish. Cannot find the page here. That was actually pretty funny.
Spanish.
But I got your news here, buddy. Your Hunting
news.
Hoodlums.
Yeah, you get
winners announced. A lot of you guys have been posting. So as you may have noticed, my personal Facebook page has been hijacked by Hoodlum for this year.
Has it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. CC posted about 100 pictures on my someone to the point where someone saw Hoodlum was like reviewed in High Times or something, and they congratulated me because they thought
good job.
I was like, I don't even have a hoodie, but yeah,
good job, guy.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
That company you guys are repping. That company,
that company. They actually thought it was my company. All the better.
See, even better.
I get credited for Hoodlum and THC. It's
and
so
Adam Dunn
much.
Show soon. Yes, and Adam Dunn Show, obviously.
Well, Adam Dunn Show is the only one I deserve. All right, here's your winner, buddy.
And it is drum roll.
We got the whole thing.
Jess Parrish.
Jess Parrish is the winner.
And it is
the winner of the $300 voucher on Hoodlam eStore goes to Jess Parrish of the Ice Carving Art Championship in Alaska, who proved that Hoodlum withstands the harshest and coldest conditions, and he's still smiling.
And you got to have an ice carver on your crew.
Well,
I mean, come on.
Duh.
So
he's going to get what? $300 voucher?
He gets a $300 voucher, and the cool part is okay, we have a bunch of runners up, which we can't really run through everything. Everybody should go online and check them out. But everybody gets something. That's the key. Like everybody who even entered gets something. So,
really? I didn't know that.
Everybody who enters gets a free Hood Lab membership for a year.
Really?
And that's worth $100 right there.
Dude, and you can come hang with us. And
exactly.
That's good,
so,
good
man,
times.
It's too late now to get your photos in. I know there's going to be like a
rush.
flood of photos now.
Rush.
Oh, I want free. But everybody else is going to get T-shirts, things like that. So we're definitely going to hook everybody up. And he can pick and choose whatever thing he wants for $300. And
it's pretty crazy because, I think I would have picked the base jumper to win, but he just got the honorable mention. He got the same as the cat.
Exactly, but
jumping off a mountain and
but
being
it
a
isn't
cat
so
are not
cold.
equivalent.
It's not so cold. Ice carving kind of.
I feel like it's cold jumping from a mountain, but
It's
cold.
cold,
Chris says yes.
but you can't really be wearing.
I know, but see, guys, Hoodlum's not my company. If it was base jumper,
Yeah.
Blake Wild would have won.
That's
But
okay. But he was in the running the whole time.
I know he's an honorable mention.
But then we felt that the chainsaws were like, you know,
that it does make it
when you
extra
have
cool.
dueling chainsaws and hoodlums and everything, it's pretty awesome.
Okay, news. Here's some news. I don't know if you saw this one yet. Colorado Attorney General says making marijuana oil at home is illegal. By virtue of a single comma, the Colorado Attorney General's office says making marijuana hash oil at home is still illegal under state law, despite other laws legalizing marijuana use, cultivation, and possession. The opinion of the state's top lawyer comes in a brief filed in a criminal case against a Mesa County man. The man, Eugene Christensen, is charged with arson, reckless endangerment, and manufacture of marijuana concentrate. Sounds like it didn't go so well for that guy.
No.
The last charge is a Class 3 drug felony punishable by 2 to 4 years in prison. Christensen has argued that the state's law prohibiting manufacture of marijuana concentrate is now unconstitutional after Colorado voters passed Amendment 64 in late 2012. The amendment legalizes limited possession of marijuana concentrate and also contains a provision allowing for processing of marijuana plants. Hash oil is made by, this is probably going to be wrong, but we'll see. Hash oil is made by dissolving the active chemicals from dried marijuana plants and then evaporating the sometimes flammable solvent to form a thick, potent glop.
Oh yes, I like the potent glop.
That's roughly accurate. It's the
Potent
best I've seen
glop.
this.
It's a potent glop.
So what the lawyer says, Christensen's lawyer says, the clear and unmistakable language of the Colorado Constitution is that it is legal in Colorado to process marijuana and marijuana concentrate, and that such actions shall not be criminal offenses. And that's what I think
Pretty
we all
arguable.
think.
Uh-huh.
But in the Attorney General's brief, he argues that Amendment 64 specifically exempts hash oil from its protection. The argument relies heavily on the amendment's terminology and punctuation. For instance, the Attorney General's brief argues the protection for processing marijuana does not cover hash oil extractions done at home, in part because the definition of marijuana includes the word oil. It includes hash, but not or excludes the word oil. In defining the term marijuana, Amendment 64 includes the caveat that the term, quote, does not include industrial hemp, nor does it include fiber produced from the stalks, oil, or cake made from the seeds of the plant.
That says nothing to do about
so here's
oil.
the thing.
He's saying oil.
To us,
that's hemp
this
seed oil.
hemp seed oil,
That's
right?
seed
It's
oil.
the comma after oil in that sentence on which the Attorney General's office hangs much of its argument. In a 5-sentence footnote, the Attorney General's office argues that the exclusion of oil stands separately from any reference to industrial hemp or marijuana seeds.
No.
And I'm going to say,
that's bullshit.
Now he has a JD or whatever lawyer degree he has. I got a master's in writing. I feel like in this case, I'm a little more qualified to say what the hell a comma is for. And when you're listing things, you got to put a comma in there. If it was a semicolon,
yes,
the semicolon would make it a totally different list. So,
Yeah.
buddy, I'm going to get like a grammar teacher for the Attorney General. We're going to fix this. I don't know.
No, and that's 100%. And it's so obvious because that wording
It's a
right
list
there,
of products that are made from
made
industrial hemp.
Industrial hemp.
Yeah,
has
exactly.
nothing to do with cannabis.
With cannabis.
It's like,
well, with
that has been
marijuana, drug
and that has been
marijuana.
their whole. And that has literally been the thing that's been flip flopped a lot of times. Like, I mean, there's guys that came busting into Greece, right? All the hemp stores in Greece got all their hemp oil taken because somebody said, "Oh, they're smoking it." And it was hemp oil, you know what I mean?
It's like nutritional oil.
Yeah, so they came in and like cleared them out and said, "We've got gallons of hash oil."
Hash oil,
you know,
no,
and I was just like, "Come on,
different
guys,
thing.
get it to And I think that's also where Rick Simpson's oil kind of confused people because a lot of people started to think it was hemp seed oil that was, and people, you know, and then you see also people selling the syringes with the hemp seed oil based with the hemp extracted CBD, where you're like, okay, now you're really kind of going off on a tangent on that one.
All right, let's rock some more news.
Some more news.
Speaking of going off on tangents.
That's my deal.
I know. That's why the show works. Former Senator Mike Gravel to run marijuana company. Former U.S. Senator Mike Gravel from Alaska is the new CEO of a marijuana company that produces cannabis-infused products for both recreational and medical use, the company announced Tuesday. The Alaskan Democrat and 2008 presidential contender will lead Kush, a subsidiary owned by Cannabis Sativa Inc., and that's Gary Johnson's
senator
CEO
with
of
a
that.
company called Kush.
That's really the long and short of the story. Yeah,
there you
there's a senator who's like looks like that, you know.
That look.
His business card is going to say Kush on it. That's all that's
pretty
all that's
awesome.
in the news.
That's
on
pretty
that one.
awesome.
This one's pretty awesome too. DC's newly elected Attorney General, contrary to Colorado's douchey one, he says that marijuana legalization can go forward. He says, screw what Congress says. A congressional spending deal won't prevent Washington, D.C. from legalizing the possession, gifting, and growing of marijuana, according to D.C.'s newly elected Attorney General. And he's the dude who's in charge of getting people in trouble. Yeah. Congress passed a broader spending deal in December that attempted to block a voter-approved marijuana legalization initiative from taking effect in D.C., but supporters of the initiative said there are ways around the congressional block. D.C. Attorney General-elect Carl Racine appears to agree. That's pretty great.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the classic right there. People have spoken, the government tries to jump in, and now you get people who are obviously see the light and go like, are you kidding me? You know, there's so much money to be made in these situations, and it's just going to come down to cash at the end of the day. It's going to be like, oh, man, look at them. They're making all this money. Well,
then it becomes really interesting because you can probably technically possess whatever. Like, you could walk around D.C. with herb in your pocket. But, like, I think if you step into the Smithsonian, all of a sudden that's federal property. Or if you step into the White House.
It must be a tough place because everywhere you go is like, oh, this is
across the block here, yeah.
This is not even D.C. anymore. This is officially, you know.
America.
Part of America. Yeah. You know?
How about this one? This is a sad one for the Bay Area folks. Welfare check leads to discovery of marijuana garden and arrest. A 43-year-old Bay Point man was arrested after he let sheriff's deputies called in for a welfare check into his home where he was growing marijuana, according to reports. Fong Nguyen invited deputies into his home after they arrived there at 8 a.m. Sunday to check on his welfare. The home at the 400 block of Shore Road, deputies found 300 plants and rock cocaine. Dude, you got crack in the house. You don't invite the cops.
That's not a good idea.
They also found that Nguyen had bypassed the electrical meter, meaning he was stealing power.
Great, good job.
So
that's classic Vietnamese grow situation too.
That's exactly what you were telling. And I'm glad you caught the. Did I pronounce the name right? I always mess up.
Yeah, no, it's a good job.
Vietnamese
Very
names.
good job. But yeah, they always. That's their biggest issues is they're always stealing power, which is terrible. I mean, this is the bad idea. And then on top of that, they're like if you're gonna steal it smart. You know what I mean? Don't be like 5,000 extension cords running around the place. But that's what they're all
just like running from the neighbor's house to your house.
Quite literally, that's their idea. Like, oh, I steal power. You know, plug it in.
Oh, nice. All right. How about this one? Some good news now. Marijuana industry to create 200,000 jobs in 2015 and generate $21 billion by 2020. Everyday legal marijuana businesses continue to hire and employ more and more job seekers who continue to target America's fastest growing industry. And as more states continue to join the legalization bandwagon, Alaska, Oregon, and Washington, D.C., more jobs and revenue will clearly continue to become available. A recent press release from Canna Insider estimates that as soon as next year, the legal marijuana industry will create 200,000 new jobs in 2015. Living in Colorado the last 18 months, it's been easy to see firsthand a clear influx of college graduates and cannabis refugees flocking to the state to enter the green rush. I guess this thing is going to get a little editorial, and I should have read the article first. But, that's only no surprise.
That's a drop in the bucket.
Drop in the bucket. I mean, here's two jobs right here that are cannabis related. Cannabis related, you know. But
no, there's a lot, and that's they're not even counting any of that. They're just literally counting people
who work at stores, grow herb.
But I mean, the numbers that they crunched for hemp, we're talking like 300 million jobs is what they.
Well, it's a massive industrial endeavor.
So that's like where they don't even That's why I mean this 200,000. Yeah, it's great, good job, but we could do better.
Well, I think it's funny too because I don't get to listen to real radio very much, which is why the show is the way it is. But when I do, I listen to NPR and they'll talk about like, oh, for surprise, everyone's shocked, but jobs are up for once.
Yeah.
Like, well, there's 200,000 right there, but
exactly.
That's where those are coming from.
And they don't like to mention that.
No, and nor do they like to mention that, Well, here's the other thing. This is something we don't like to mention. Did you see the numbers came back on who has been smoking the most since we legalized? Because this is 1 year.
Rhode Island
crushed us. But here's the thing. I think this is like one of those statistics things, dude. Because it's definitely not there are more people in Rhode Island smoking than anywhere.
No, it's just per capita. And there's
right. So if there's 25 people who live in the state and 18 of them smoke, that's like a lot of them. But really, we still have way more smokers than Rhode Island.
Yeah. No, per capita they are. For sure.
Well, but that's skewed. Their capita is skewed.
Damn capita.
Damn.
You and your damn capita.
With a capita C.
So who's been smoking more?
Rhode Island has been smoking more.
Is that what it was? I answered it?
Yeah. You didn't know that? You just guessed it? Yeah.
I guessed it. I thought we were talking about
I thought you read the article. Yeah, Rhode Island was number 1. We were number 2.
Hey, I read article.
And the Denver Post editorial board was like talking about how terrible it was that smoking is up, or reported smoking, like the federal government's survey on smoking they had a 17% increase. But to me, like, dude, it's the government. Like, before it was legal, I told the government I didn't smoke anytime they asked me. If they were like, hey, buddy, you smoke weed? I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, that stuff's bad.
That stuff is terrible. So I really feel like Denver Post, rather than complaining that people were smoking more, maybe be proud that people are telling the truth. And let's just move along. Shout outs to Way to Grow, our longest standing supporter of the show and supporting us.
Best friends, actually.
Onward into the future.
Yep. And they are doing the.
Are they still on the canna sale?
I think they are.
Oh, no. Roots.
Roots Organics.
Roots. Oh, no. It's lighted up for the new year. In-store only specials.
Because today's the last day of
right. $130, $129.99 for the Hordelux Blue, $94.99. Thawi Watt.
If you went there today, you could pick up the old deal. Then go back on Friday and pick up the new deal.
Sure.
Boom.
I feel like if you went like right up at New Year's, you could get them both or something.
Maybe.
So 1,000-watt metal halide Hordelux Blue, $129.99. 600-watt metal halide Hordelux Blue, $94.99. In the HPS side, $74.99 for the 600, $59.99 for the Thawi.
Isn't it funny how the 600s are always more expensive, but it just shows you that we just don't use enough of them. And
yeah.
It's like they have to be cheaper at some point.
And if you guys aren't in Colorado and can't check them out at their 7 locations, you can go to waytogrow.net, get feeding charts, info on russet mice, powdery mildew, air pruning, all sorts of great
and bad stuff at once.
Well, learning about it's always great, buddy.
Learning about it's great, but knowing about it.
Yup. And shout outs to Dark Horse Genetics. I have the winner of this week's pack of seeds from Dark Horse. Let me pull it up. This week's winner is Goldie. Goldie won the Face Melt OG.
Goldie from the UK? Oh, my God.
I don't think the drum and bass artist Goldie.
I can't believe Goldie entered that.
This week's contest, post your favorite bud shot or photo on the Dark Horse Genetics forum page under the Adam Dunn Show tab. So, again, just go to darkhorsegenetics.com, post in the forum, and you'll win a pack of these award-winning beans. I think it's pretty no-brainer. Like I would do it if I was qualified, but
did you say you were? You said you were something with language. A pretty no-brainer.
Pretty much a no-brainer.
You said pretty no-brainer.
Pretty no-brainer.
No, just checking.
Just checking.
Before you start
calling out the Attorney General.
Calling out Attorney General on his
All right, shout out also to Greenpoint Seeds. We'll get Goo back in studio when we move to the new studio.
Next year.
Yeah, we'll see him next year.
Next year.
But go to greenpointseeds.com, and what you can do there is sign up for the newsletter. If you go to greenpointseeds.com and sign up for the newsletter, you'll be entered for a chance. Well, actually, Goo will send you a blast letting you know how you can win some Greenpoint seeds. And they're working with a Stardog male. He's also working with a Monster Cookies male. Really a lot of great genetics going through there. And a damn good guy, too. He's really very knowledgeable, willing to give support, and a hell of a grower. I think he's growing. Did he say he grew Build-A-Soil?
Yeah.
I think that's what he said, right?
Yeah.
So we should definitely get him back in here because his herb was fantastic.
That was a very good little...
A little segue. Unfortunately, they're not up on the block.
We need a segue button where we go, segue.
Segue.
Like, everyone knows.
But yeah, you can go check out greenpointseeds.com and then sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get contacted. And it's right. It's the subscribe button, which is right under the big banner. It's kind of hard to find if you're not looking for the right thing.
And then our last
shout out to Incredibles, Colorado's #1 edibles.
Check out those firecracker bars.
Yeah, that's what's going on for New Year's Eve, right? Should get some for tonight.
Just stuff like
pop
20,
rocks
20
in your mouth
at once.
Drink soda while you're doing it.
Everybody drink soda and eat those
like
at the
fireworks
same. And that'll be the fireworks show we can watch out. It'd be awesome.
It would be great. Shout out also to Build-A-Soil. They brought us a hell of an episode with Microbe Man the other day. It was one,
great.
It was full of information because Ryan was like pretty asleep.
Pretty bored, yeah. He was like,
that it's
so
like
much
a
info.
lot of learning there. He was like, really? You guys just talked about compost tea for an hour and a half. But yeah, if you're interested in hearing us hear Microbe Man talk about compost tea for an hour and a half.
We can talk about it for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, indeed. Check out last week's episode brought to you by Build-A-Soil, and also go to buildasoil.com. They have a link there, and you can pick up everything needed. And with that, and everyone should properly shout it out, let's introduce our guest for the day, Adam, shall we?
Sure. Well, actually, we'll do our team effort like we always do.
Hold on, this just brought me back. It wants me to do Build-A-Soil again. Okay, we're back. So, kind of picking up on, let's talk about...
The star of the show, obviously, is Noah. We have to introduce Noah first.
Well, yes.
Go straight to Noah.
I was going to kind of line it up, too.
He's already psyched.
Yeah.
He knows. He knows.
So, I want to line up kind of how we got to meet the Lulus and how we got to meet Noah. So, as you guys know, we did our CBD and families event. We haven't talked about that at all.
Well, that's kind of where we're going to use this.
Yeah,
this will be.
So we did our CBDs and family event, and the turnout was pretty great. I feel like Adam texted me and was like, "Oh, it's the first big snowstorm of the year. If we get 20 people, it'll be a success." And we got, 65 people. I feel like. I know that 2 gave away over 1,000 high CBD seeds. I know that some people have already sprouted them, and they're germinating well and vigorously.
Nice.
Our buddies from CB Scientific were down there giving away CBD tests, which is really cool. Burnt MD from Gorilla Healer was out there consulting with people.
We got poppage going on.
Oh, and Chris is popping the champagne for the last show in the seas. Like, I'm done with this shit. Throw the glass when you're done.
Crank it out.
Yeah, you got to trash it.
We got mugs, too. We got mugs. We're going mugs.
And, of course, we were there with, 4 or 5 different cuts?
Oh, yeah. No,
the kids'
we had
studio.
3, actually, ourselves. And then he brought an extra one.
Brought a couple more cuts.
Yeah.
And so we're giving away the CBD cuts. And we actually, there's this general rule when we're hanging out that like, oh no, there's a family here, put everything away. And so to actually have like 4 families with kids there who we didn't have to put everything away for was pretty exciting. And of the 4 families, the Lulus were one of the families we met, and it was just one of those really good timing things. They had a week before the event just moved to Colorado to seek treatment for their son Noah, and there it was. So with that, you guys are actually great on the mic, so let me let you introduce yourself and introduce Noah.
Well, this is Noah, and I'm Joel, his dad, and this is Ashley's mom. And we came up from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we came here seeking an alternative treatment for Noah, who's been diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. Whoa,
bless you. And sneezes.
And, we're not just here on a whim. There's a lot of amazing information out there and anecdotal evidence and enough, scientific evidence out there for you to dive into if you're faced with a situation like this, you would rationalize doing what we did, leaving 1,300 miles from our home and coming here.
And we definitely want to talk about that. And at this point, I also want to shout out to the listeners. If you guys want to call in, if you have questions or want to participate in the discussion, the studio number is still 720-381-1420. Isn't that like, is that Swedish?
No, it's not. It's when you get married, actually.
But yeah, 720-381-1420. You can call into the studio, talk with us, talk with the Lulus. We're kind of discussing this pretty complicated and deep situation. So let's run it down. Can you tell us a little bit about Noah's tumor, about the condition, why you chose that why you felt that you had some time to start with?
Well, the diagnosis is an inoperable metastatic optic pathway glioma.
Cheers. Auto cheers.
So he was diagnosed at St. Jude's in Memphis, and it's inoperable because of its location in the diencephalic region of the brain, which is basically the center.
Okay.
And it's encroaching on his optic nerve as well as his pituitary gland, so there are some issues associated with that. But it's pretty much been this way and observable his whole life since he was born. What alerted everyone to the presence of this tumor was he has what's called a nystagmus in his eyes. When he looks at you in especially bright light, his eyes will shake and wobble or oscillate rather, and that's an effect of the encroachment on the optic nerve. So.
So it was shortly after he was born that you guys became concerned that there was a condition?
Well,
we weren't worried at all. We just thought that maybe he just had weak muscles or something that would develop, and
right.
he'd learn to deal with it.
Yeah, we really didn't think much of it.
So what led you to go on to look further and sort of discover the extent of it?
It was a pediatrician checkup that we went.
6-month checkup.
Yeah. And they, the next step, the pediatrician sent us to an ophthalmologist. An ophthalmologist checks his eyes. His eyes check out okay. The ophthalmologist was concerned, so he's the one that actually ordered the MRI. So And the MRI we did locally at a hospital in Baton Rouge, and that's where they discovered that there's a mass there. But they didn't get a complete scan because there were some complications with the anesthesia and whatnot. So we then went to St. That was in October 15th actually, and by mid-November we were in Memphis, Tennessee at the St. Jude's facility there doing another battery of testing and imaging.
So this is all happening very fast and very recently. We're talking within the past few months.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
we were at St. Jude's for almost for Thanksgiving. We came home right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and they didn't want us to come home for the holidays. They wanted us to immediately begin a chemotherapy protocol.
And so let's talk about that. I mean, the discussion of, obviously you got the diagnosis at St. Jude's, and what was your initial reaction to that? I mean, did you immediately think like, and to continue on the first question, what made you feel like, well, you got some time to think about it and not just follow like the initial parental instinct?
Well, part of the diagnosis, they're also known as low-grade gliomas. That's kind of like a broad category for them, and they're typically slow-growing if it's growing at all. So his diagnosis is still kind of ambiguous because there has not been an actual biopsy performed. So it's still hypothetical.
So you don't know. So what you're essentially saying is you don't know whether it would be malignant or a benign tumor. It could stay completely the same size for the rest of his life.
Yeah, we have to follow
It's
up
conjecture
with
at this
more
point
images.
by the medical, his medical staff.
And that said, to perform a biopsy, they'd have to go way. I mean, the optic nerve is buried in the middle of the brain, right? Like they'd have to go all the way in.
They have experience with doing biopsies and actually taking a slow-growing or benign tumor and actually kicking it into survival mode, and it becomes very aggressive at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And the combination of location
so what you're
and
saying is essentially if
ability.
they went in to try to take a biopsy, it could essentially kick the tumor into
exactly,
hyper mode and
that's exactly
And-
right.
Ryan, you know how to use a microphone, buddy? I don't know if you've ever.
do, but-
Do you know anything about audio? Have you ever?
For once, I could not be happier to leave my seat and lend my
Excellent,
microphone.
excellent. So Ryan's off mic. I don't know if you guys can hear him.
Noah's in charge. Don't worry about it.
Totally right. This is amazing. So that's it. So that's when they told you that
Just gonna talk for
Ryan, no one can hear you.
nobody can hear me at all.
No.
So when they told you that, you know, if we do go in and do a biopsy, because I mean the first thing you would say is, all right, let's do a biopsy and see if it's malignant or benign. I'm sure it's the first thing you thought
not
about,
really
right?
though.
Well, they themselves deemed it inoperable, so they don't.
So they told you that
this
right
is
up
something
front.
that they've known and studied from their own
Right.
experience that they've seen where they'll go in and do it. So that they with the diagnosis, they see so much of this stuff, especially at St. Jude's, that
And
they
St.
feel-
Jude's is a children's cancer hospital.
Yeah,
That's their
it's like
specialty, right?
the largest in the world, most renowned. Yeah.
So you guys got the diagnosis again just about a little over a month ago, right? That you were at St.
mid-November.
Jude's.
Yeah,
And-
right before Thanksgiving.
And they wanted to immediately start chemotherapy treatments.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you said, we're going to go home for Thanksgiving and think about it?
Well, we actually, before we even left for the trip to Memphis, her and I had discussed the matter and just come to an accord that no matter what they told us, no matter how looming and foreboding it was, that we weren't going to rush into anything.
Now,
So-
let's pause there because this does kind of tie in on a personal level because you had told me when we spoke the other day that, was it your grandfather or
Recently passed,
Passed.
this September. To be honest with you, for myself personally, I haven't really had the opportunity to effectively grieve that situation. And the irony of it is that he was given a chemotherapy protocol where he had this port put into his chest with a tube that runs through the jugular vein and hangs into the superior vena cava of the heart to administer these chemotherapy drugs. And it was just, we bury the patriarch of our family, and ironically, the youngest member of the family is going to have the same Frankenstein kind of thing going on. And
Yeah, that doesn't sound.
And it was really,
Yeah.
so you said that was October that he passed?
he passed in September.
September.
And then we found out in October.
In October, and then November, you're
St.
in
Jude's.
Memphis at St.
Yeah,
Jude's.
so it's like.
And so it's very fresh and real to you.
Oh, yeah.
And so how did that experience of seeing your grandfather on chemotherapy affect your decision?
Well, it has a great deal to do with the way it affected my decision because there came a point in time where I saw like other members of the family. I mean, they thought they were doing the right thing, but they've just kind of shuffled him through the process of doing what they felt was right, which was, following conventional protocol.
Sure.
And the entire time I watched it just destroy my grandfather's wonderful spirit. And it just, if there was a different way, he expressed this to me that he would have definitely tried it. And at that time, I really, didn't know any other ways other than, holistic practices and things that diet and things like that. But, as far as a silver bullet cure for cancer, I had to just sit and watch my grandfather pass. And
so when did cannabis come into the picture for you as thinking about it as a cancer cure and eventually as a treatment option for your son?
Well, cannabis has been part of my life just, for decades. So just been naturally kind of following, the movement and whatnot. But I didn't really dive too deep into it until, my son was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
And did you think about it with your grandfather, though? Like, was there ever that option? Like,
I thought of it, as far as like palliative care.
Yeah.
But it was just
he was already past the point when they installed the.
And it was a fleeting thought because he would have never been able to get it legally.
Yeah.
And there's
Plus,
no way
you were in the
that my
tough
hardcore
spot.
Catholic family would have,
accepted it.
Yeah.
It's too bad. It's too bad because that could have been, just a good connection between
in a
you
perfect
and
world, we could have been puffing on the back porch, and it would have been really nice.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel.
I bet you learn a lot in those situations too when people actually
certainly.
finally get to. Oh, really?
I know that I had like one of the most touching moments when my grandmother passed last year was we went to visit her in sort of the hospice care place she was in, and we brought some edibles and asked her if we didn't just dose her. We asked her if she wanted to try
Here you go, Grandma.
And, it was like 10 milligrams. It wasn't a lot. But just like my wife and I sat in the garden with my grandma at this place, and it's in New Jersey. Like it wasn't necessarily cool for her to have them, and I got in all kinds of shit with my family. But for like half an hour, 45 minutes, dude, my granny was my granny that I remembered when I was a kid, and she was laughing and smiling, and like her tremors were less, and it was like I knew at that moment. She passed maybe 3-4 weeks after that, but I know that at that moment. Like she accepted what I did with my life, and like she saw its true value,
And I had essentially the same situation that you had. My grandfather I was very, very close with, and he was diagnosed with inoperable brain cancer as well. I was a senior in high school, so it was like 2008, I think. And he passed, and I mean, he was my best friend. Like I was really close with him. So when he started getting his tumor, and I started visiting him in the hospital, and he started having conversations about things that didn't exist.
Oh wow!
And so then when we brought him back to the house, and we had the hospice care come in, and like we didn't have him in a home. We had him in his care in the house, and we had to feed him. We had to give him water through a sponge in his mouth and change his diapers and all that stuff. And I had wished I had just started smoking cannabis at that point, and I wanted to try to, but at that point it was still taboo in my family. I couldn't bring it up and say, hey, we should try to give Grandpa some of this stuff. And he, we went over there the one day, and he actually died with me being the only person in the room. Like my whole family left. Everybody thought he was fine. And I was sitting in there, and I put on, his favorite was Billy Joel, so I put on like a little Billy Joel cassette, and we were just sitting there hanging out, and then, of course, he chooses then to pass away. I'm like 18, freaking out. That's like, crazy. Everybody should get up here. Like, I think he's dying right now. But it was that same thing, man. He had that and when they said inoperable, and he was like, well, I'm not gonna get chemo. Like, I'm 70 years old. There's no point in me getting chemo right now.
Right. It was a good choice, I'm sure, on his part.
Yeah. It was so I didn't really necessarily have to go with what you went through because the chemo didn't really kill his spirit. None of the drugs they gave him really killed his spirit. But once the tumor really took effect, was when it was tough.
Changed
so that's
who it was. Yeah,
completely.
So let's go back to Noah's story after we've taken all our personal sides. We should have done this episode 2 weeks ago. We were trying to do our family's episode and things. So you, as you said, you kind of hadn't considered cannabis as a treatment until you found out Noah was diagnosed. And then how long did it take for you to consider? Was it like, what about cannabis? I hear a lot about that. Or was it like looking through a lot of options and then arriving at it?
Well, they gave us the weekend before Thanksgiving to make a decision. They wanted to put the port in that Monday.
Could you just speak a little closer to the mic? Sorry, Ashley. Ryan's on top of that.
They wanted to put the port in his chest the Monday
after Thanksgiving,
right before Thanksgiving, and start the chemo treatments the day after, the day before Thanksgiving.
It was a mess.
Yeah, and we were just like, like we just felt like our child's life was in danger. Like we didn't.
Yeah, we could. The internet with the Wi-Fi at the place we were staying on the St. Jude's campus, we could not get it to work. Like it was. I was cursing, man. I was.
So
ready
you
to
couldn't
hang
even do any
somebody.
research.
We couldn't even research anything. We just had to
The
like.
oncologist told us to go home for the weekend and not look on the internet. Don't inform yourself.
Yeah, his exact words.
He said, just
Don't try
enjoy
to be the
yourselves
doctor.
for this weekend before, like.
Yeah, I suggest not getting on the internet.
Oh wow.
That's weird. That's like the completely wrong way to approach
Yeah.
a family.
So it sounds like they really put a lot of like pressure and urgency on a situation, and yet at the same time we're telling you, well, it's not necessarily a pressing or urgent situation.
Well, I think maybe they said don't look on the internet is because. Me as a hypercon, you look on the internet.
No, I know that. No, I
we
get
all
that part.
understand
But the
that
fact
part.
that they were saying like, yeah, in 2 days we're going to put this thing in, and then the next
Don't
day we're going to
inform
start.
yourself.
Yeah,
And
we're
don't-
gonna-
and
that's
don't
why.
we got to
research
go.
it.
We got to go. It's important. Otherwise,
It's always a red flag.
Exactly.
It's always a red flag,
Exactly.
in my opinion, when it's situations like that. Unless it's something where you get into an accident or something. Of course, that's obvious. But when it's something where there is options and there's nobody who wants to talk about them, then
Yeah.
there's something behind the scenes.
And
it
we
seems
had already
like.
informed ourselves after the first MRI, kind of what's going on, and
Sure.
we were just like, gleam.
Yeah, about the cancer itself, the
Yeah.
tumor and whatnot.
right. So you understood that it wasn't going to be a fast growth or anything that.
No, that's
well,
the thing.
nothing's changed since he's been born. He's always
Right.
had the nystagmus,
I
and
see.
it's never gotten worse. It's actually gotten better.
So
in
there's no
our
chance of
opinion.
it metastasizing or spreading to another part of his body.
Well, we never know.
We
I
don't
mean,
know that.
Well,
no,
there
that's-
is, yeah. Of course, there is, but from our observation, and that's what we're going on. We're going.
You're his
more
parents.
on-
You're going to know him better
we're his
than any
parents. We
doctor
see
who's
him
going to
every
see him
day.
for a
That's
few
right.
hours.
And from our observations, the key symptom that triggered and alerted the medical community was the nystagmus in the eyes, which, as she was saying, has, if anything, gotten better in a year's time.
Right.
So there's a list of all these symptoms that you need to watch for. Because there's issue. He has they call it off the record hydrocephalus, but it's not enough to be actually considered. And they believe it's from at first they believed it was from the the ports being cut off for the drainage, but now they're saying, and it's all guess, that they think it's from a protein being secreted by the tumor that's causing a congelation of cerebral spinal fluid. So there would be warning signs, like he would start, his equilibrium would go off, his his eyes would get worse and rolling around, he would vomit, be disoriented, but he's a developing, normally 1-year-old, and he laughs, he plays, he's standing up, almost walking, and
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of
Look, he's look at
clapping,
him.
talking, smiling. So, to go back to the question, so how long did it take you to arrive at we're going to try cannabis as our route?
I mean, it may take others longer than it takes some, but for us, it was pretty quick. For one, I have a background in organic gardening, organic farming, so I know how to research. I understand a lot of scientific jargon, nomenclature, things of that nature. So I just went nuts and put the word out there. So I had, friends in my network just sending me links, and I just would read them and devour them and share them with her. We'd talk about them and just keep moving forward. And it just, we saw enough.
It took about 2 days.
2 days of just
Yeah.
nonstop. That's
in
what.
St. Jude's, we would go to the cafeteria where the internet actually worked, and we would, get on the internet and watch the videos or whatever, and we would just see all these little kids who were doped up on morphine with no hair and missing limbs and stuff, and it was just no, my son is not going to go through this. He's not going to be, just another number in their system.
And did you share, since you were at St. Jude's when you were watching all this stuff, did you share it with the doctors, that your thoughts, or you kind of kept it to yourself the whole time?
At St. Jude's, yeah, we kept it to ourselves. Now, we did open up to the Baton Rouge affiliate, and the Baton Rouge affiliate is
That was a terrible idea.
That was a terrible idea. They're actually the ones that.
And is that a newspaper or?
No, what it is St. Jude's have affiliate on college, so
I see.
they can administer chemotherapy at different hospitals throughout the nation and whatnot. And they'll have the affiliate on staff.
They answer orders from the St. Jude's.
I got
Yeah.
you. So it's like their local
Exactly.
And what happened?
That was like getting caught into the thing where they just pulled you in, sort of like, oh wait, you're thinking like that, like
Yeah.
That's
So
tough.
so how'd they respond when you brought it? What did you bring up, and how did they
Well,
respond?
you know what? At that point, we were pretty well researched and, had our decision. And what we really wanted was an observation period. We wanted the time to try, what we would consider an alternative therapy at this point. We wanted an observation period, because these first images that we have are providing us a baseline. They are like, was stated earlier, it's a hypothesis. They don't know enough about this tumor to give a critical diagnosis in the fashion that they have. They just simply don't know. So,
Yeah.
So you asked, basically, you said, we want to try, and did you even tell them what alternative treatment, or you just kind of said you want to try an alternative treatment?
At the affiliate.
at the
clinic.
affiliate, yeah, we did.
He
And what-
kind of indulged just to try to feel him out, to see what his views were. And that was
How-
a horrible idea. It really was.
What was his reaction?
He just started stating more facts and more facts.
Yeah,
that he had
just
been-
kept pressuring us and stating an urgency and whatnot that we weren't buying it, and he just kept trying to sell it to us, and that's what I felt like. Somebody was trying to sell me a car that I didn't want.
Right.
And
Well, 'cause-
unfortunately, that's how I feel it is. I mean, they're
Well, that's the medical system in America.
Right.
Yeah, I got to
That's how it
ask, how
works.
much do you guys, do they give you a price quote? Like if you're buying a car, do they give you a price quote on what you're looking at if you go ahead with a full
Well, that's the thing. St.
chemotherapy
Jude's
treatment?
is a charity. There's nothing. I mean, they
Yeah,
rolled
but
the red
that
carpet
doctor's
out
getting
for us
paid.
at the Memphis.
Yeah, that doctor's
mean-
getting paid out of the St. Jude's
Yeah.
fund
that's
of
what I
some
mean.
sort,
So
right?
whether
yeah.
or not you
Their staff
you
is paid.
use St. Jude's, he's going to get paid either way, correct?
Right, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know why, but I mean, if you go to a standard hospital, yeah, they'll
Then
push
you're
you
paid
for
for it.
their
Even more
treatment.
big pharma they move product,
Yeah,
they get
and
paid
that's where
even
they get paid
more.
for that too.
So-
Yeah, it's
So-
funny because in Europe it's the exact opposite. Like nobody gets paid anything for
Right, 'cause
anything.
it's socialized,
It's all
yeah.
social medicine, and that's why when you go there, they're just like, nah. You don't need anything. You're good. Go home, rest. You're like, no, really, it hurts or whatever happened. It does. It's so hard to get them
have to
give
fight to
you
get anything,
Like,
yeah.
if you have something serious, they're like, here's 2 aspirin. Be very careful. You're like, what? Like you can't even get aspirin in normal
And
stores.
here,
there.
it's
It's like-
hiccups, anal catheter.
exactly.
Well,
yeah.
the protocol that they gave Noah was 77 weeks. So that's what, 18 months?
Of weekly treatments?
Weekly treatments, yeah.
And so was there any
At
discussion
one
of
year
the,
old, so
yeah,
he's
the
looking at,
potential
like,
risks
over
of
twice
chemotherapy
his
at
age.
Noah's
Oh,
age?
yeah, definitely.
certainly.
They gave us a packet that thick full of just side effects. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
And it would be 3 different chemotherapy.
So 3 different packets of
Yeah.
side
Yeah,
effects.
which
Right.
they're required by law to divulge to us, but that's like, wow.
yeah. Well, no, it's just like all the commercials and stuff is like the same thing, but you can imagine those are for things like
Yeah,
you
for
know,
your thing for
little-
your allergies
Little
can cause
allergy
you.
can cause all these. Imagine
Right.
what the chemotherapy. That's like
Oh,
that's
yeah, wow.
compounded by 1,000. You know what I mean? So and take into effect the age and even like
Oh,
when
and then
when
in
I have
a
to give my
year-
kid baby Tylenol, it's like, oh, I can't give him that one. It says 18 months and he's only so that's
Yeah.
like you're talking about baby Tylenol. We're not talking about chemotherapy. It's a huge difference. No, and there's no baby chemo, and there's no real. They're just giving them adult doses, I'm sure, and maybe smaller amounts, but still,
Same
it's
adult
same
It's the same
drug.
yeah.
same exact drug.
And there's an open admission by with the pediatric oncology community that they have to do harm first, and that's a completely diametrical opposition to the Hippocratic way of looking at it, which
And
is
what- that's the
first
fair
do
oath.
no harm.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes left in this segment, and then we're going to come back. But I wanted to go on and say, so you guys told Noah's doctors in the Baton Rouge affiliate,
Right.
and they were not feeling it. They
No,
Yeah.
we scheduled an appointment for the Wednesday following the next week, and we called and we canceled the appointment because we were still waiting on a second opinion. And the day after that appointment was scheduled, we had a social worker come to our house. Yeah.
So obviously,
Children's
oh yeah,
The
they
doctor
definitely went,
snitched.
oh for sure, snitch.
Yeah.
So-
which what happened to doctor-patient confidentiality?
Exactly.
Exact. No, that's
Next day.
that's
Right.
gone. That's
Yeah.
gone. Long time ago.
So the social worker shows up at your door, and what do they have to say?
Like the day before we had planned to leave here, I'm like underneath the dash trying to fix the radio goes out in the van before we're leaving. Like,
so you had already planned to come to Colorado. That was your decision.
Yeah, we were ready to leave.
We
Ready
had
to go.
already
You know,
raised money.
And to be
get
honest,
here.
intuitively, we both knew we shouldn't have been there. And bam, the lady shows up, and so there's a case open now.
So I want to get
You
into
don't like talking about it.
Yeah, I do want to explore that a little when we get Chris in the room a little later, because that's the sort of thing you want a lawyer protecting you talking about. But so you guys obviously feeling a lot of pressure in Louisiana came here to Colorado, but you left a lot behind. Why don't you, like I know about that, why don't you share that with the audience?
Well, Noah's, he's just one in a large family. He's got a number of brothers back home. And, they're provided for and taken care of.
Of course.
My mom's awesome with that. We don't see them. We were separated from them for Christmas and here New Year's and everything. And
his birthday, his first birthday,
Noah's
right?
birthday was actually the night of
the CBD
at
event.
the party at Green Labs, yeah. So it's been pretty amazing.
How old are his brothers?
Oh wow, he's the youngest. The oldest is 10.
So he probably has at least a little bit of an idea of what is going on, I would assume, right?
The eldest brother.
Oh
oldest
yeah,
brother.
certainly.
Totally
They all,
understands.
they'll kiss him on the head and whatnot. I told him kisses kill tumors.
And now, how did they feel how did they react when you told them, hey, we're going to be going away for a little while to try to get for his treatment?
They want to be with us. With the oldest one is like, oh, I want to come. Yeah. So it's really cool. I mean, they're sharing in the experience, and we're hoping it doesn't take entirely too long. As much as we love Colorado and everything, it is just like fucking cold. And I'm a coon ass from South Louisiana. Yeah.
So we got to meet you on his first birthday. Also, the first time you ever drove in the snow, right?
Right.
And it's been this is unreasonably cold. It was negative 13 degrees yesterday. At
Oh,
one
wow.
point, so
You guys
And
have
we're
never
getting
seen
nailed
snow
by a big
before
old
you came here?
snap.
No, we have seen
Oh, so
snow.
he just hasn't seen snow.
No,
before he came here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's
We
damn
had a
cold.
white Christmas, so it was cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, it was definitely on time this year. It's just like nailed it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, white Christmas, perfect.
It was
Because it was like 60 degrees a week earlier.
Yeah.
It was the craziest weather this year.
God's favorite.
Maybe you brought the weather for that moment in time because it was like, why is it
was
so
really nice.
warm
we got
here?
here and I was like, it's so mild. Like,
Yeah, it
You'll
was.
still find those days too.
It'll come back.
No,
Yeah,
it's-
right
You'll
now
get a
it's
70-degree day where you can go snowboarding with a t-shirt
Right.
on, and it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Maybe
is beautiful
50,
here.
but
And the
70's a little
On the
pushing.
mountain when you're 10,000 feet.
So we got 7 minutes left in the segment. Again, I want to give the number out to any listeners that might want to call in. 720-381-1420. Please give us a shout whenever with questions, comments, etc. So you guys got out here a week before we met you, and in that week's time, what progress have you? I mean, this is your quest to find a treatment for your son, and how's it going?
Yeah, well, it's been kind of crazy trying to figure out what his dosage is actually going to be. Aside from like all the legal things like his evaluation appointments with doctors and whatnot, we've got that out of the way and everything, and in the process of us establishing our residency and whatnot.
To get his red card.
Yeah, to get the red card, everything. So it'd be on the up and up. But all the information that we really have to go by as far as dosaging is all anecdotal, and from scouring the internet and actually talking to other people that have experience with using it. But it's kind of fun because I have an interest in biology and whatnot and science. But he needs high concentrations of THC and CBD. From the little bit of scientific data we do have, we see that they work together synergistically. So for us right now, it's all about finding like the right strains,
The right ratios
to mix them. Everybody's concerned about the amount of dosage, and I kind of have a different intuitive feeling about that. That it's all about getting the concentrations you need, both CBD and THC, fully decarboxylated, and going for what I call a saturation point. which, you know, from an individual basis, if you were self-medicating, you could determine that for yourself. But for him, it's just done under observation.
Right.
And, you know, so there's no known fatal dose of it. So you just essentially, in my theory, is you just take it until it knocks you out. And you know, those CB1 and CB2 receptors are going to get engaged because you're saturated. Your bloodstream is saturated with the cannabis compounds.
So we do have Dave from Elite Cannabis on his way. I don't know if you guys got to link up before now, but he's on his way down right now. And he'll be
we've spoken briefly, like, on Facebook.
Cool. Well, he's going to be in studio in about 10 minutes, I think.
Awesome.
And hopefully he can help not only talk about those ratios, but I think he might have a little present for you guys, too.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So 5 minutes left in the segment.
Well, the good part is it sounds like, you know, once we do dial it in, or you get to dial it in, you'll be able. I mean, the nice part is that you're a capable person who can pull it together. There's a lot of other people out there that you know are not in the same situation. They might have found cannabis as being the right possible medicine, but they have no idea what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It doesn't stop there.
You know what I mean?
It's like a rabbit hole that goes very, very, very deep.
And then it's the next level of finding consistent. I mean, I think that's been our quest as cannabis consumers since day one, is to find a consistent source of medicine. Like, that's basically all we'd ever do. And it never happens, because I know I smoke things different than I did 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 2 years ago. It's always on a flux, and you have to kind of get used to that whole flux. But when it comes to medicine, you really want consistency, and that's kind of where everybody's like looking for. But I think the best way to do that is to do it yourself, and in the long run, because if you can do that, then you dial it in yourself. There's no filter there, you know what I mean? Because the problem is, the minute that person runs out of that original strain or something goes wrong, they just try to pass along, oh, this is the sister of the same thing, and it should work.
Right.
And it doesn't work, you're like, they're your ass out, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to find the whole new thing. Because I think it is very specific plant to patient. It's like almost kind of holy grailish.
It's like your soulmate plant type thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you got, oh, hey, I found my plant, you know, and people find them every so often, and then they lose them, and it's like crushing, you know what I mean? So I lost my girl, you know, and
true love, the one that got away.
Exactly, and I think that, you know, I'm glad that when I met you the other day, I was like, all right, this guy can do it all, you know what I mean? He can. And you have the right, you know, you have the right mentality, plus you have the skill set, which is, you know, those are the two key things needed, I think, to get along in this whole industry.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you guys aren't planning to stay on a long-term basis and be in the industry, which I do think there's definitely, not only do you have, like Adam said, the sort of driving interest, and now obviously you have a reason to have done the research, right? And now you've done, I'm sure, at least as much research as me, because I don't even have a reason. You know, you have the best reason.
All right, it consumes my day. It drives her crazy.
Not.
You know,
Sometimes.
I'm sure there's other things that drive you crazy. I'm sure it's not just that. I'm sure it's not just that. Let's get into that.
I can. I really can. But, you know, I mean, it's worth it.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, what better reason to do anything, you know? And so with that, and obviously your skill set, it's funny. I saw he was talking with Dave, and Dave was like, you know, we do a lot of TLO growing here. And he's like, what's TLO?
Yeah,
but obviously you're an organic farmer. You never. That's like that's like the catchphrase.
Tomatoes.
No, that's that TLO is the magazine catchphrase for
True living organic.
My ganja growing experience has been off the bushes, off to the side somewhere, hoping nobody sees them. You know.
Right.
But I think
I think you'd be
you
up to
could probably
speed
teach the
fast.
TLO guys a thing or three, you know, because we definitely are still learning. I think a lot when it comes to technical, especially commercial scale agriculture.
People who grow cannabis. You know what I mean? That's most of the time. There are some people who just happen to have that right skill set. They can just grow anything in the world. But a lot of us are like people who never grew anything, got into growing weed. Now all of a sudden we're really good at it, but you know, stick the same person in a real farm situation and watch how
botanical garden.
You know, they're like, everything's out of whack. You know, and all they know is their little pH range and their little EC range and their little everything that they know. They got it dialed up. But when it comes to like organic farming in general,
it's in flux.
Yeah, everything's rolling and changing.
Microclimatic.
And then you understand that, you know, hey, I got to plant this now because it's not going to come out until next year. But if I don't put it in now, it ain't going to happen because it doesn't happen in a short cycle. And those little those little tidbits of information are huge.
Just thinking like a farmer.
And they're all connected, you know what I mean? So I think for you, it's just you're putting one piece into a cog and then adding that to a whole mix, you know. And a lot of that's I think where a lot of times growers get a little bit over excited about their skill set, and then you're like, yeah.
There's the skill set, and then there's just that like discipline of being a farmer.
There's Japanese farmers out there that plant everything synced out, so smart. There's trees out. You saw that grafted tree that had 40 different fruits.
40 varieties, yeah.
40 fruits. I mean, there's people out there doing next level stuff that we're like, oh.
Yeah, you're really not much of a farmer, bud.
Okay.
You can grow one plant.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well,
quick shout-outs?
Yeah, we'll wrap this segment, and I think Ryan has a little surprise for us during the shout-outs, too. First, let's start with Way to Grow. Shout out to Way to Grow. You can check them out at waytogrow.net if you're not here in Colorado. If you are here in Colorado, they have 7 stores. Break down the stores, Adam.
Ooh, the breakdown.
Well, I don't need all of them. You know, I'm not giving you the Ryan challenge.
Oh,
your favorite. Tell me your 2 favorite stores.
Well, the Platte River one, of course, the newest one because it's right downtown here.
Oh, that's not the newest.
Oh no, sorry, that is not the newest.
Second newest.
I haven't been to the Silverthorne one yet, so
okay.
that could be my newest favorite.
Okay, but Silverthorne, there's one up in the mountains. Platte River's your favorite, and what's your other second favorite that you've been to?
Original one, I'd have to say for me, the 58th Street, just because it's like that's where my boys were all working.
See, that's funny. For me, it's the Gun Barrel store.
I love Gun Barrel.
See, I only went there like 3 or 4 times.
And well, when we went there, the grilled cheese truck was out.
Oh, the grilled cheese truck was
so
good. But now we got the Jamaican. Well, we have a Jamaican guy down there.
Okay, but I got to tell you, I love the OG Fort Collins store.
I've never been.
That's the one, dude.
See,
that's where Corey's office is.
I've been there a few times, and it's cool because it's all like you can tell he just sort of like, all right, we start here. Now we'll take over next door. Right. It has that vibe. It's that shop. It's kind of like, all right, now we're taking the next door, and then they just keep taking over the whole place because they're expanding.
All right, so Ryan, here's your chance, bud. It's your big surprise. Make it happen.
You're in.
So we have the official new Adam Dunn Show studio up, recording live, killing it. So I was just having some fun yesterday. So me and Crunchy did a quick little ad spot for Dark Horse. I mean, mind you, the music in the background is all public domain free stuff because we haven't bought any blanket licenses or anything. But
so
there's no white reggae on.
There's no white reggae.
Cheesy white reggae.
It's reggae, but
it's like white reggae elevator music. It's awesome.
It's not anything. But this will be like our first little.
That's next level.
30-second ad spot for Dark Horse Genetics. So this is Crunchy for Dark Horse.
Crunchy for Dark Horse.
This is Crunchy with the Adam Dunn Show. If you're looking for top quality genetics, check out the guys over at Dark Horse Genetics. They're responsible for the Bruce Banner number 3, which happens to be the strongest strain High Times has ever tested. If you really want to get the best out of your grow, Dark Horse Genetics. www.darkhorsegenetics.com.
Boom, Dark Horse.
Wow. So Ryan can make quiet commercials in our new studio.
So now we see. So that's our first recording. So even though it sounds loud in Studio 1, it seems that when I send the mix down now, I need to have the gain a little bit louder, even if it sounds.
Okay.
Come on now, get that.
Shout outs now to Greenpoint Seeds. Goo, I hope you're listening, bro. We haven't heard from you in weeks. We want to get you back out here. We want to get you on the show in the new year, next year. Again, greenpointseeds.com. I want to pull up their website. I don't know if I want to just talk about their strains. I don't know. Most important thing to tell you is go to their website, scroll down beneath the top banner picture. There's the subscribe button. I'm going to open it up, actually. I'm going to subscribe. I've never subscribed before. I'll subscribe right now. It's the new year. It's like a resolution. And then I'm going to actually enter to win a pack of seeds right now, I think. Oh, no. I can't type my password with the microphone over my hand. So greenpointseeds.com, right under the picture of the seeds. Click subscribe, Greenpoint Gazette, and it brings up this thing. You put in your email address, mitch@adamdunnshow.com.
Put in your password.
First name Mitch. That's it. Signed
1, 2,
up.
3, 4, 5. There you go.
Signed up. We're in. Cool. So now that's it. That's all you got to do, and then you get entered to win a pack of seeds.
You have been. What if you win now? That's going to be lame. Then you're like,
well, I will pass it to number 2. And Jason from Dark Horse loves the commercial, buddy. He just texted me. Shouts to also Incredibles, Colorado's #1
Oh,
edibles.
I thought that was what you were calling
Last
for
time. I'm doing
This
it
is
right now.
Do
You ready?
Do it. Do
Peanut
it.
butter Buddha, Mile High, Mile Higher, the Strawberry Bliss, the Peaches and Dream, the Cookies and Cream, the Fireberry Bar. There's the Boulder Bar, the Monkey Bar. There is the Fireberry Bar, and then
You said Fireberry
did I say
twice.
Fireberry twice. No
And
way.
also, I'm going to
Damn it,
call a
dude.
technical foul because you said Peaches and Dream.
It is. That's what it's called. Peaches and Dream Bar. Duh!
Is it?
Yes, your technical
Chris,
error is
you know
wrong,
him.
Holmes.
Cream or cream?
It's
Well,
no,
no,
cookies
I
and
thought- I
cream,
thought it was just
peaches
peach dream.
dream bar. Duh.
Duh.
Strawberry Bliss was the other one I didn't think of, but they're in there. They're solid.
say
man. They
Monkey
have-
Bar?
And the Monkey Bar, bananas and walnut. They have like 12 different flavors, guys. They're definitely
Oh, because you
that's
didn't say the
Firecracker
firecracker.
Bar.
firecracker. Oh yeah, but you can only get that until tomorrow.
So go get them right now.
it.
Shout out
Get it.
to Build a Soil, #1 source for living organic soil amendments. Stuff you probably know about. All sorts of high-end. They have very high-end neem, the ahimsa neem from India. They have really good compost that he makes. Really good, really cool worm composting systems. They also have Microman's Microbiolator Compost Tea Brewer now in stock. There's discount codes all over the place, so you can check them out at buildasoil.com. And now I'm scheduled to have Dave from Elite come, but
He'll be here in a few minutes.
traffic.
It's all right.
So let's kind of just pick up where we left off, right? So you guys got Noah out here. The biggest challenge has been finding the right dosage. In the meantime, how have you found it difficult to, moving here knowing no one or having a very small number of people
Well,
out
we
here?
actually were fortunate enough to actually know some peeps that migrated to this area, a while back.
Oh, cool. That's
so
very good.
we had a place to land. It's actually been nice. We've been put up in like a little basement. We have our own little spot, with we share it with some plants growing, and that kind of adds to the ambiance. the glowing light on the mother plants
the
that
nightlight.
never turns off.
That's we had my buddy Kyle used to live with us, and he slept in the clone room, but he never wanted to. For some reason, he never wanted to keep the clones covered. He felt like it made the air didn't flow right, so he just slept with the T5 on, in this tiny 8x8 room.
It's just so unhealthy,
Yeah, it worked for him though, and the plants seemed to like it. They became close friends.
right?
So you guys hopefully are in a better situation than Kyle was.
I used to dry weed above my bed. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of cool.
I hate that.
I was like,
you
I'm
wake
drying
up
it
with
up. I
trichomes.
had no room, and I was like, just drying it above my bed, and I'd wake up, and they'd all be like pointing down at you, and you'd be like, oh, a little scared at first. You'd be like, oh, it's my plant.
It's my plants,
And then you
you
wake up, and you'd be
guys.
like, ah, what is this gritty thing on me? And yeah, it was sad. It was a sad. It was a small apartment.
You wake up with the trike boogies.
I had tricha, yeah, and I'd wake up with dried plants in
Well,
my
yeah,
bed,
yeah, you get,
and I'd
like,
be like,
fan on you.
kind of wake
Feels
up,
like a spider.
wondering what they were, and then I was like, oh no,
Oh no.
oh no.
Oh no.
What?
So you guys have a place you're staying out here.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to find how to get your medical marijuana license out here for Noah, and how to find some CBD for him?
I mean the process of getting the card and everything, it was all relatively simple, to be honest. That stuff was easy. It just kind of sitting through what the doctors had to say might be the most grueling part of the process, because it's like these evaluation doctors aren't really part of the treatment and part of the treatment plan. I don't really think they care. Some of them. Yeah, it's just weird. It was kind of weird. They weren't really all that helpful, to be honest. But,
Well, and I don't know which doctor you spoke to, but we're gonna go ahead and put you in touch with Dr. Cohen, he lectures on the endocannabinoid system, and he's definitely extremely
you talking about
resourceful.
Kenneth Cohen?
Joe, I think is his name.
In Boulder.
Yeah, in Boulder
I
at
think
Holos
his name's
Health.
Ken. And
I
that's
don't
who-
think it's Ken, bud.
He's my doctor. So
Okay,
that's why
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's out.
The Kenneth Cohen I know of is out of the John Hopkins.
No, this is Dr. Cohen from Holos Health. He's actually he was an obstetrician and he delivered babies, and then he went into cannabis medicine, and he's one of the leading experts in endocannabinoid system in the U.S. And he's in Boulder. He's Ryan's doctor, and we've had him on the show, and we'll put you in touch with him.
Nice,
because he does do recommendations, but he's also very educated on cannabis.
Right, and that's kind of what I was looking for. And really, I had one of the I'm not going to mention any names, but I had one of the evaluation doctors straight up tell me that he didn't believe cannabis was in no way, shape, or form a treatment for cancer.
Well,
I was blown away.
Yeah, when I went to Cohen, I essentially sat down. So when I got here, it was a little over a year and a half ago, and my third week here, I went right to Cohen and sat down with him, and he pretty much looked me right in my eyes and was like, "Do you need this?" And I pretty much told him no. I mean, he's like, "I'm either A, we're going to talk about why you need it, what we can do to get you help, or B, tell me how many plants you need, and I'll write you your card." But for the patients that go in, he has such a solid website, such a solid pamphlet and brochure base that all of his information he wants to give out, but he doesn't want to sit there and waste his time with people. Like, he straight up asks, do you want it? Do you need this, or do you, let's sit down and figure out how this is going to help you.
That's awesome. See, that's kind of what I went in looking for, and didn't get that. It was kind of
awesome.
Yeah, I think I have his number. I'll definitely give it to you before we even leave.
But you mentioned, the most difficult part of the process is really is finding like an oncologist to sign off on an observation period. But we got some good leads on that. We get second opinions and whatnot, and even if we don't, I mean whatever. I don't know what to tell them,
I mean, I get the sense, and I mean, this is the second time I've been talking with you guys in some depth about it. It's not like you're way more, I think, educated than the average patient or caregiver in any situation like this. You like you said, you understand biology beyond just
that is
like
true, and I feel
this.
for others that have to face the same challenges that we do and don't have the same background, because it's hard enough as it is. I can't imagine. Because, I've been an advocate. I was a Rasta for like 20 years. I believe that cannabis has ritual purposes, medical purposes, recreational, all of the above. You know what I'm saying? It's just, organic food. I've been growing food and whatnot. But most people, they go get their food from the grocery store and whatnot, and all of a sudden your kid's got cancer. And what do? Well, for me, I kind of had an idea of a path that I could carve out. And a lot of people don't have that, and if I can be accessible to those that feel lost in this, feel free to reach out to me, and I will try my best to answer questions or share whatever resources that I may have gathered myself. So.
Well, and now, just to comment on that, now that we have the studio up and functioning, we can take recordings whenever. We can literally go broadcast stream live at any point in time. I know personally I want to make sure that we keep almost a live update on how he's doing and how everything is going with you guys, getting help, exchanging information, you exchanging information with other people who may be listening to our show that would have the same information. So yeah, we're definitely going to make sure that we're able to put you guys in touch so that you guys can contact directly. You don't have to always go through us. If you want to find the information from you, so that you can share it with other families for sure.
So you mentioned like the path that you had found that you think that you're following, and cannabis is a part of it. And can you share more of any more of what it entails for you?
Well, in the whole organic quote unquote movement, there's a lot of observation that you do in regards to the ecosystem, and those observations translate over into human physiology, into biology, because of the plants that you're growing and working with. Well, toxic pollutants keep just amassing and piling up. We made the observation while we were at St. Jude's that most of the people there were from like South Louisiana. And that's like the sphincter of the North Atlantic continent. That's where all the toxic waste that's dumped into the Mississippi River filters down there. So why are, these kids getting these tumors down there? For me, it's a no-brainer, but finding the trail and tracing it. Well, so, when you're in the organic movement and whatnot, names like Monsanto, those, like make some people tremble, and like the average Joe, I don't know what that, they don't have a clue what's going on. But, supposedly been fighting this evil giant for years. And Monsanto, Big Pharma, that's all the same. You put them in the same basket, there's, it still represents the same, greed and manipulation and control factors. So it's like, there's no silver bullet cure for cancer. It goes deeper than that. Cannabis can help us and show us, and invite us back into the plant kingdom, into the Garden of Eden. But it can't sustain it. It's going to eventually break loose unless people really take a look at the fact that we can't keep continuing to put toxic pollutants into our environment. What other species on this planet shits in its own nest? Mm-hmm. It's just not logical for myself. Maybe I'm a Vulcan, not from this world, or something like that. But
did you were mentioning that higher rates and stuff? Do you have data about the rate of children with cancer in that area compared to other parts? 'Cause I know
endeavor to get that data, though, in the bigger picture of things, yeah.
Because I know I grew up in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island has a really high cancer rate, and it was because of the naval. A lot of it was based about the naval presence there, and because they used, it was World War II. They were doing, and they build nuclear subs there now.
Wow.
And so there was a lot of toxic stuff going on, and I grew up literally right next to this naval base and would break into places and find big barrels of stuff.
Oh,
and,
wow.
So I'm always like, whoa, I don't know. I'm probably going to expose to tons of stuff. But it was literally, there's pockets in America like New England, New Jersey. In New England, there's some spots. Jersey, there's spots. I'm sure down in the South, there's all sorts of spots that are just way more toxic than the rest anywhere around them. And people don't know it. They just move in and kind of oh, great,
And they don't find out until 50 years later.
And now they're fracking and getting water catch on fire. It's okay, it's getting a little outrageous. You know what I mean? So
over the top at this point. Guys.
It is.
So I figured, I'm gonna actually be heading out right now to go get everything set up at the studio for this evening. But I figured we might as well. Have you made the announcement yet, or should I make it right now since I have to go get set up for it?
Make your announcement. Do it.
Do it.
So I was gonna do it at the end, but
well, yeah, but I'm leaving now. So what we're gonna do is we have just the very basic Ustream where we're going to be paying for the pro of live stream for next week's episode. However, for tonight, we are going to do just a basic, very simple live stream broadcast. We'll post the link on where you can find it on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our whatever other social media outputs that we have, so that you'll be able to click that. And then from 7:10, is that when we decided the start time was? So we'll have a live broadcast from 7:10 up through 12:30 after the ball drops.
We're gonna do New Year's Eve for you guys. So
whatever,
instead of leaving stupid TV on and having those whatever stupid happening and watching the ball drop, we'll stream the ball drop.
Yeah, you will see the ball drop.
We can patch that through. But instead of watching stupid other stuff, watch our stupid stuff.
Watch our stupid stuff. And then, it's going to be a few hours. So we're going to have, a whole bunch of different genres of music mixed in for, a little bit of music.
It's mostly going to be public domain music like that silly reggae in the commercial. So look forward to
hours of city public domain music. But no, maybe we won't have any music. But we'll have good interviews and all that good stuff. So it'll be fun.
I got friends.
Yeah, Adam's out here. Adam's going to be doing a DJ set. So
am I?
We can technically broadcast the live set.
Wow,
so
that would be crazy.
We'll take care of that. But yeah, so tune in. Check out our social media pages for where the link for that live broadcast is going to be. And for those of you who are not going to be tuning in, Happy New Year to you and your families.
All right, Ryan.
Cheers.
Well, thank you for that extensive announcement. And we'll cover that again after the kid bounces. So I have here, Dave from Elite.
Dave from Elite. The kid's
Meet
out.
the Lulus.
The kid's out.
Where's
Dave's in.
the kid is out? Where's Noah? Noah's here though.
He is at large.
The other kid. When we say the kid, we're
Noah
talking
at
about Ryan.
large.
Noah at large. There he is.
He's probably got a better nickname than mine. So
Yeah, Dave, hop on mic, buddy.
What up? Headphones, mic.
So you were driving, so I doubt you caught the show up to here. I know you got to talk to Joel a little bit on Facebook, but Ryan, close the studio door. Close the studio door, Ryan.
Come on, guys.
Come on, buddy.
I got the producer. What's going on?
I'm not coming back. I'm not going to see this guy.
Hey, you will
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Close the studio door. Right on. So, Dave, you and Joel spoke a little bit online, and I don't know how much you got to hear about Noah's story. We just recapped it for everybody, but I'll go over it kind of briefly. Noah was born with a glioma. Actually, Joel, you probably going to correct me on the technical stuff because you're smart.
That's actually it is
Nice.
a glioma.
Near his optic nerve, yeah?
Yep.
And they came out here to get medicine, and they're what he was just saying is the biggest challenge they're facing is figuring out dosing and figuring out the ratio they're trying to use, etc. And I know you guys discussed that a little bit, and you just handed me some vials of what looks like CBD oil. And why don't I hand these back to you? We'll show them off on camera real quick.
Yeah,
Back,
for you
He
guys.
wants to be down.
right here, camera right here. This is some Elite Botanicals CBD oil. Dave, can people buy this stuff, or is it not out yet?
Yeah, you can buy it, and we made a limited release. We're allowed to officially distribute here in Colorado. There's some question as to whether, it's legally produced hemp, as to whether between Hemp Industry Association versus DEA, the federal farm bill, et cetera, actually allows this to go across state lines.
Right.
There's a lot of people arguing it does. I think by letter of the law, it's not supposed to. So the attorneys have advised us to keep it in Colorado for now. But yeah, it's readily available. And we're working with a couple of edible manufacturers to try and get high quality CBD into their products too, so we can just get it as far and wide as we can.
So why don't you tell us about the product, your process, and let's give these over to Joel and Ashley. And Adam wants to look.
I want
one.
to look. I want to look.
I know you like the label.
Hey, look, there's three of them. We all get one.
Yeah.
So we started our hemp crops this last year. We have some super high CBD cultivars that qualified as hemp, really depending on crop time. And then we have some actual hemp varieties too. We're running some Finola, and actually we didn't realize it was autoflower. That shit blows flowers and falls quicker than anything I've ever seen. Like, it's crazy. So we got our hemp licenses this last year and pulled out our first crop. It's all living organic. Outdoor actually was this first round. We have a bunch of greenhouses now that we're growing everything from ACDCs and Charlotte's Webs, and actually our buddy Bam at Coastal did a Chem 91 ACDC cross and gave us the pheno with no THC in it. So we got a whole breadth of different strains in these greenhouses. We started processing to oil several months ago, and then really based on our relationship with Doc Shack.
That's Dr. Alan Shackelford. You guys have probably come across him in your search. He's one of the he's a Harvard-educated physician.
Yeah, he did like a stint at Harvard, and I think he was originally out of Texas, and he's been a friend of mine for several years. And he wanted us to make a more concentrated oil, right? There's not a lot of this on the market. A lot of people are buying, hemp, industrial hemp-based products coming from overseas.
That's awesome. Awesome things are the best sort of tech. Oh,
You made my phone talk.
Noah's just speaking Spanish with the phone. Nice.
So anyway, like, we cranked this stuff out just to have a higher concentration than.
I'm sorry, my 1-year-old child called you accidentally. 225-719-3172. If anybody wants to reach me.
Oh my Lord!
What the heck?
Watch this.
Wow, that's weird.
Maximum overdrive.
Well, I hope they don't show up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So on that note,
We'll eat that later.
yeah. So Dave, tell us about the oil we got here.
Yeah, so anyway, basically this is a concentrated. There's 150 milligrams of CBD per milliliter and 2250 in the whole bottle. Basically, it's 3.5 grams of raw CBD oil that tests at around 65% CBD. 3.5 grams, and then it's decarbed and put into a sweet almond oil suspension. And
That's
then,
what I'm smelling.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then there's
it's
a little
nice.
bit of cinnamon in there to take the edge of it off, right? So
Okay.
we used a little bit of cinnamon bark oil, a little bit of cinnamon leaf oil, and then some myrrh gum oil. And that's based on the Old Testament healing oil, the anointing oil recipe.
Nice.
But Skunk Farm published it. We just did a variation on it to be able to use more carrier, basically. But the CBD so far tastes spicy as hell, right? So like the Remedy strain that we've been running for a while and threw around a bunch here is so peppery you almost can't take it on your tongue. And so we used the cinnamon to cut some of that out.
Okay.
So, and given what I know, you guys are obviously still going to be on the hunt for THC and to be able to complement, the CBD side of it. But CBD is something we can provide in spades.
Yeah.
And THC is something you can pretty much go by anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's,
We've already gotten it, actually.
Yeah.
This is actually the other half of the this brings it all together.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
Awesome. Wow. Yeah, I just wanted to note, you said myrrh.
Yeah.
In some studies, some Chinese studies they did with in Chinese medicine, there are also compounds of frankincense and myrrh. But they did some studies on the apoptotic activity of frankincense and myrrh actually proved like significantly more effective at engaging programmed cell death of a bad cell. I find that interesting that you included that in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of love up in there too.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, we did what we could, and again, I mean, it was really just to try and meet the need in the market. I mean, meeting folks like you guys, it's stellar if we can help, and that's literally the only reason we're doing what we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
Huge. I don't know if you guys heard about the little girl in Pennsylvania too.
No.
I mean, I won't drop any names, but apparently she was a Dravet patient and had been 200 to 400 seizures a day for the last 9 years. Had gotten to where she couldn't, walk. She couldn't, eat. She couldn't, lost use of her right arm, et cetera, et cetera. She got some of the Remedy oil in raw form, and then did her own decarb, did a 4-to-1 cut with it, and it reacted almost immediately. She said they gave it to her at 4 o'clock. She went down for a nap, normally had a seizure whenever she would wake up and the light would hit her eyes, and didn't have a seizure that day. Went 4 days before she even had a short seizure. Became verbal, and she had been nonverbal for years. Started walking, using her arm. It was ridiculous. Christmas miracle. So yeah, it's just cool to be able to see what the plant we love so much could do to save people's lives, man. It's
and you say Remedy, that's not a product name.
It's
that's
just
the
a
strain.
Yeah, it's just the strain. And we just, it was actually bred, which Scott Reach told me.
From
that was
Rare Dankness.
Yeah, it was one of the Shanti Baba first breedings that he was doing
on the
his
CBD project.
Yeah. So they focus mostly on one-to-ones and stuff now with CBD crew, but Scott Blakey, that was one of his first projects, was that Remedy strain. We got it actually out of the Northwest. And it's been running around up there apparently for a while. But our last field run tested at 44-to-1 at 19% CBD.
Wow.
Not bad. So I'm stoked to be able to yell up. Thanks for having me down.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks for coming down.
It's too bad we had the storm the other day. We would have seen you earlier.
Yeah. I brought this headband live resin too if you guys want to dive.
Oh, yeah, I'll get into that.
Definitely want to check that out.
It's absurdly dank.
Yeah.
So while you're down here, Dave, let's talk what you've been doing with Elite. How long have you had the finished oil out? It was a pretty recent drop, yeah?
Yeah, we just did that a couple of weeks ago, as far as actually spinning it into a product. And then, I'm relatively handy with Photoshop and whatnot, so I figured I'd make, labels up. And, we did it hustler style, but I tried to make it all like an old apothecary label. So I literally ganked an old apothecary label and then just ran that into a vector image and then edited it from there. So yeah, we dropped that a couple weeks ago. I mean, like I said, we've been growing into a couple of greenhouses that are up in Loveland. We have our products. Actually, I was talking to the guys from Incredibles earlier. So the Makiba bar is coming out on the 13th.
Oh, right, good.
Yeah, and so it's gonna run. It's gonna run our CBD.
Oh, and that's their high CBD bar, right?
Yeah. So it's got all kinds of good, healthy stuff in there and nuts and. I actually had some of it without any medication in it. It was delicious. So that's rolling out here shortly. We're starting to work a bit with Mary's, and again on just kind of the wholesale CBD game. And then this is our product launches. Actually, Connecticut, our consulting client out there, just started dropping products on the Connecticut market. First couple of weeks of December. To rave reviews, I posted one up on Facebook. The guy was freaking out. He smoked some Ghost Train and. apparently didn't know what it was prior to that and was like running around the room. He was like, dude, I'm out of breath. And he's like, it smells like California. Like, it was fucking hilarious.
So I thought in Connecticut everything has like a number instead of a name, right?
Yeah, so they used did not use the street name, but we're allowed to tell the pharmacies where you go to actually buy at the dispensaries, basically. We can list to them what it really is, and then it turns out 9 times out of 10 they just tell the client, what it really is. And so they go back, and we've had a couple of reviews that popped up on YouTube. Everybody was raving about it. We were the first guys dropping real nug chunks because they wanted kind of everything homogenized and ground up. So I convinced them that head nug homogenization was the way to go. They tested consistently in plus or minus 3%, so we were within all the parameters, letter of the law. We had Brian Corey that used to be out at Full Spectrum Labs. He's a CO2 ninja. He went out and did their extracts a few weeks ago, and they just dropped that out to the market. So yeah, good stuff, man. Like we're staying busy.
Nice. And so, is the oil available in dispensaries at all out here?
So I've been contacted by a couple, and I think they're checking with the MED as to whether they're officially allowed to take a product that hasn't gone through the full seed to sale.
Manifesting process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So because they can't really manifest it, it shouldn't at least be able to go behind the counter. But the thought is that it could sit out, with glass or any other random items that they could buy, right? And as long as you know the source and we get everything tested and tested again.
And everyone gets copies of the papers. And
yep.
What, I get skipped here? Mitch, run the show. You don't get to taste this delicious stabs.
So we've been hit up by a couple places. I mean, that was part of the idea behind the wholesale game with Incredibles and Mary's is that at least it gets it into the dispensaries and gets it in quick. In fact, one of the conversations with one of those providers was talking about basically them trying to make the same oil and just get it behind the counter. Because our real goal, right? Like, again, I was friends with Doc. I knew people needed this. We've been, fires lit under our ass for the last year and a half, and we're finally to kind of the end of the race, and just want to make sure that the product's out there, it's available for folks. The fact that CBD is 5x as expensive as THC is bonkers, man.
Completely
like, that's just fucking ridiculous.
It's like diesel being more expensive than unleaded when you're like, it's less refined actually. You understand that,
right?
It just kind of got you by the balls. You're like, well, you drive those big trucks without it. You know what I mean? You're like, And in Europe, it's actually that's the way it works. It's like the more refined the gas is, the more cheaper it is. I mean, the more expensive it is.
More expensive,
it would make sense.
Yeah. So diesel's always cheaper, So
and hopefully that's coming around, right? As more hemp crops come up, people get their hands on these same genetics. I think the price should balance out, and there should be availability. You guys like that? It's dank, right?
I didn't get to try it yet because no one wants Mitch to smoke today.
Mitch can't smoke yet.
So that's one of you guys have heard Nick T go off about that kind of family-held headband up in Humboldt area.
Yes,
That's a live resin run from that strain.
Beautiful.
Nick is finally getting it too. We're gonna go give it to him. He's been asking for long enough.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was actually my brother-in-law Graham. He's the one that gave it to me forever ago. And
it's good though because it's like one of those things where headband's been overused and overabused, and it's hard to narrow it down because you'd be like, "Oh, this is headband," and you'd be like, "No, it's not
exactly.
really the headband that I'm thinking of," And it's like, and then people
that
just
may be a headband.
Yeah.
It's not the headband.
Well, and then they popped the 707 seeds of it, right? There was actually seeds of headband for a little while, which then further completely taints out, what the hell it really was in the first place.
Yes, another one of those. Like that's the whole thing. Is every time there's something good, everyone wants to either be the creator that or tag on to it or whatever.
Well, we're running the Holy headband from Coastal Bam out in Santa Cruz. Dropped that same headband cut crossed with his Big Sur Holy.
Nice.
And that should be phenomenal.
Awesome. Yeah. No, Big Sur Holy. I mean, it's like that's where we got our sage from originally, and it was kind of there wasn't much names dropped except the people who did that were in Santa Cruz, who got the weed that was from their area, and they just kind of threw tags on it. And there was kind of a sativa and an indica that were dominant, and that's why it was kind of like my friends didn't even. They just called it A, AA, and AAA, and that was it. And I just be AAA every time. Don't fuck around with those other things. Just give me the AAA, And then it would get fine seeds all the time. Had those in Amsterdam. That's how we kind of started up with that and those flavors.
So. That was one of the best dabs I've ever taken in my life.
Really?
There you
Really?
go.
See, it's not just
Wow.
we don't just do CBD.
That's good. Really awesome.
Our THC we just keep for our
Dude,
head.
you guys all know how much I usually cough. That was like
It's
Three
full
little
flavored. It's
cups.
full flavored, and
Smooth.
it has here. Take a dab.
take a dab.
Take a
dab for
dab.
dad.
My brother took one at Christmas and then took a 40-minute nap right
Again,
afterwards.
I felt that sink
Came
in,
back
dude.
downstairs and was like, "Damn, dude, people don't need to get that high that quick."
So, in the last 15 minutes here, I think Chris is supposed to be coming in any second now. Did he confirm that he would come in at 1, Adam? Is that yes?
Oh, yeah. I think-
He might have had to leave, Greg said.
Oh, really?
Emergency had to take off.
emergencies. That's what happens when you deal with lawyers.
Yeah, especially New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, big emergencies. Like
Things
yeah,
are closing.
Get the hell out of here and get
Yeah.
some stuff.
Well, I don't know how much detail we want to go into, but you guys are facing some persecution. Like we referred to you as cannabis refugees on the interview we did at the event, but you're facing some real persecution from your home state at this point.
Yeah, I'm doing my first solo dab right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Probably not one.
It's not real.
let Chris do that part.
Chris will do that part. Yeah, you solo dab yourself. How's that?
Yeah, well, we were in the process of getting a second opinion from Boston Children's in Boston, and we discussed this with the St. Jude's affiliate, and we had a appointment scheduled for the following week, and we canceled that appointment because we hadn't gotten a second opinion. There was nothing new to discuss.
Solo dab. Quick camera. Flash.
No,
This is a champ.
quickly becoming naturalized to Colorado. He's never going back.
Well, he had to help me.
It's all right. It's good for it's your second dab ever.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah, right. Like that's better than usually.
That's a good
Yeah.
step up there.
Now you're spoiled. That's a bad way to
Never
start.
go back down. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Well, what were we talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah. Went from walking in Memphis to dabbing in Denver. That's the story.
Take a moment. Catch your breath. Breathe through your nose. Inhale through your nose.
I have kind of a upper respiratory thing developing.
Oh no.
I'm not used to the cold here.
The altitude and the cold.
Altitude and the cold.
Yeah, definitely. And the dabs.
So yeah.
It's most of the dabs.
Most of the dabs.
So we cancel an appointment. Within days, we're getting a knock on the door. A lady shows up, wanting to discuss, allegations of neglect. I was just instantly just infuriated. I knew, I kind of expected it. I kind of thought we were going to slide out under the radar and not have to deal with it. But we were, we actually did have to deal with it. And just to have somebody, come into your space in your home and say, in relation to your children, using the word neglect, when you yourself are, how much time and effort and energy and love you put into your children. It's just like a slap in the face, and nobody likes to take a slap in the face, even if it is in the form of somebody showing up to your house to question your motives and your actions. It's still like an attack of sorts.
And to me, the deeper, and the thing I had in my little timer notes here is that it's like, it's suddenly a bigger issue at that point. It's not, it's the state trying to make the decision for your family.
Yes, exactly.
And that's transcends, obviously it's relevant in this case, it transcends this case, but I think your stance crosses over to say, it's not like an out of the line stance,
No, it's not like we're saying, we're going to wave snakes in front of our child, and that's what's going to heal him. No, we're like informed citizens, probably in the upper echelon when it comes to citizens that are actually informed and, put under this scrutiny. It's like it shifted the attention solely devoted to, our son and his healing to, now protecting ourselves legally and whatnot. So it's like, they're on one hand saying that, we're neglecting, but then you know, we are treating him the best way we see feasible, and they're hindering that. So really, who's right here? You know, it's arguable.
Well, and who gets to decide that? Who,
Right.
Like, who's right?
Yeah.
Or is it the state's child or your child? You know, and that's
According to some people, it's state's child, which is crazy.
according to which people, Adam? Why do you say that with a smile and look at me like we know something that I don't know?
I think Michelle Obama said something about that, didn't she?
Really? I don't know.
It's not your children.
I don't know about
Really?
that, but
Yeah, I think it was a there was a statement made.
well,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I
But
don't-
anyway, in
I could be
general,
wrong, too.
I've heard it a few times where I just kind of blew my mind. Though I was like, who would even think that way? You know what I mean? Like, I think pretty much families are understood to be their own independent thing.
look, I made this.
Well, yeah.
She did it, like brought this
Like
here.
you're
Like, this
going
is
to
all
claim
us,
to
guys.
care about
So
this
what's
child as much as we do?
We took
What's
care
the
of it
story here
until
locally?
now.
I mean, did you guys already discuss that? I mean, so that happened in
In
elsewhere,
Louisiana,
right?
yeah.
That
Yeah.
happened in Louisiana.
Well, and as of
well,
yesterday,
actually,
you guys.
I was on the phone with this woman yesterday morning, and I told her to basically follow through with whatever threats she feels she needed to, which was actually putting warrants out for Ashley, myself, and my mother. And I just laughed at that. I was like, "You really? Y'all got to arrest my mother over this? She doesn't even know where we're at, you know?" And kept it that way. A lot of people don't know where we're at. We haven't been really forthright. If they dug deep, they could probably track us down. But we have to be very, very strategic about this, you know. And it's a shame, you know. In the trenches, you know. It's a front. It's like you were saying, it crosses over into much greater issues. You know, we're talking about people's right to choose here. It's the very foundation of our constitutional rights.
Yeah.
So.
And so in this issue, as Dave said, you're here in Colorado now, and I don't know if you've gotten to find out any more about what your status would be here or whether you're safe here once you get. I assume you're going to get a doctor's recommendation without any problem
We
now.
did. We got the evaluation.
So you already have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Certainly.
to what extent does that offer you some protection? Are you safe here in Colorado?
Well, it gives us protection in the sense of if our son is tested and his blood shows levels of THC, we do have something to fall back on. He has a cancer diagnosis, and via that cancer diagnosis, doctors here were legally able to prescribe him. You know, and we can't get his card without first establishing residency, which we're doing, going through all the proper channels. And I mean, you know, a state's not gonna legalize and not lay out the infrastructure, and that's what we're doing. We've found it very accessible and very simple, straightforward process. We've had no problems getting, not at all. It's been actually very easy.
Right.
It's like getting your driver's license almost easy. Same,
Yeah.
you know. So that said, once you with that in place, does that give you any protection from the authorities that are the charges you're facing or what they're issuing the warrants for, at least they're alleging?
It's alleging, yeah. They would have to bring us to court, and you know.
And those charges have nothing to do with using cannabis. It's about just not taking him for chemotherapy.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with cannabis. Like we haven't talked that over with the. We kept that on hush hush in our conversation with the.
So based on you canceling a
child protective
doctor's
people.
appointment.
That's fine.
Yeah. And it wasn't, the cancellation wasn't even based on us saying, no, we're not going to do this. We never took chemotherapy off the table. We tried, earnestly to explain that we wanted an observation period based on what essentially these oncologists had just taught us about the cancer and the tumor itself.
What the exact things they just told you led you to conclude.
Yeah. And then it's contradictory on the end of it. And then all of a sudden I'm faced with some guys that are like, seemingly trying to play God. And it just was disturbing because they rolled the red carpet out for us at St. Jude's in Memphis. I'm telling you, man, it's like they treat you like royalty there. And it's for a reason, man. It's like a trap. It felt like when we left there, the thing that touched me the most is I couldn't shake the feeling that we were leaving all those other kids there behind. Like we were leaving that place behind us and going into the future. And we were leaving those kids behind. And it was sad because they're like being pulled around St. Jude's, hanging out of wagons, bald-headed, some blind, some without limbs, some with, chemotherapy being administered to them in the cafeteria. It's like, it's really morbid. Mm-hmm. Beneath the surface, it's really, really morbid. And it just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. There's got to be another way. There's got to be another way. So we're going to try another way first, and we're not crazy for doing it because, we've had amazing support from, the community here especially. It's been crazy. We had a random lady in Safeway heard a conversation. Ashley and I were deliberating over what coffee we were going to get within what budget we were working with. The lady walks up to us and says, no one should be without good coffee, buys us coffee, has coffee with us, buys us a pound of coffee, then drinks coffee with us. We talk about knowing everything, and we go about our business, say goodbyes or whatever. Her name's Amanda. Big up to Amanda. But she tracked us down later in the store and gave us a gift card with $100 on it, just like boom, out of nowhere. So it's like, if we were criminals, if we were neglectful parents, it seems like just intuitively the collective consciousness would come down on that. It's like nowhere to hide for child molesters and wrongdoers and things of that nature. Everybody's so supportive and just like helping us, and that to me speaks, it's a grassroots thing, and that's what our country was built on. That's what really cultures are founded on, is like the people. It's like there's always talk about us and them and that. It's all one thing, because even like when it comes to authority and forces of authority or whatever, like the people that have the guns and behind those bulletproof vests are like our brothers and sisters when it all is said and done. So they are human beings that also have to make conscious, informed decisions. And so it's just a slow process, and it's baby steps, and it's a marathon mentality with the movement, with the treatment of Noah and everything. And St. Jude's wanted to get us into a sprint mentality, and we had already determined that we were not going to do that. And
because it's not, it's
that's the problem.
There's no indication that it's necessary.
Yeah, that's
right.
the problem.
Exactly.
It's usually just it's not the fact that chemo is bad. It's the fact that chemo is used too often, and the fact that it's used too quickly, and it's the fact that it shouldn't never be thought of for such a small kid. If you can get any other option, I think, because you're talking about like changing forever stuff for sure, because it's just like at that stage, like, every action is a major action, and chemo being rough on big giant
even
guys,
a fully mature person, yeah.
People that are like, even on a small dose, doesn't matter how you do it, it's going to kick his ass, every which way, and that's the whole point. But it's like it's kind of an old. It's definitely becoming an antiquated way to think about it. Like we have to think more. Like there's ways to get in there with also even normal medicine. And now they're also thinking like, oh look, we're going to use. Now you can already see in a few years that chemo is going to be like ancient history.
It'll be like compared to bloodletting.
I can't believe people did that. They used to just bathe in like chemicals, and then all of a sudden, I'm back. I made it. I survived, and that's kind of the way it works. Is more just like So I think that's maybe 10 years down the road we're going to be, because things are speeding up now, and I'm checking out like we're like, all right, they're going to unlock a lot of stuff and figure out how to get to the source.
And see, it's allopathic medicine, Western medicine. It's treating the symptom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what chemotherapy does. It's get the tumor, get the tumor. If you're treating with cannabis, it's not that in that way. You're using external cannabinoids. Your body possesses them on the interior. You're just using external ones to help your body get what it needs to do it itself. Your body is what actually defends itself against the cancer, not the chemical agent.
Yeah, in a sense.
And that's why people are always shocked that how can cannabis work for so many things? How can it work to heal so many ailments? It has to be bullshit. But no, it's because your body can fight all those ailments.
Sure.
It just needs to be like charged up and balanced.
Yeah, I think balance. We always go back to balance. Balance is the key. Homeostasis, all those things are like the most. Those are the most important things of being sort of in check with everything. And it is sometimes amazing too when you think about all the things that are thrown at you, and you're just kind of like attacked in everyday way, shape, or form with food, air, water, whatever, and your body has to like balance all the time. And so, for me, on a sort of personal level, cannabis is like my little food. I don't eat really good if I don't smoke. If I smoke, I'll kind of eat sort of normally. If I don't smoke, I kind of don't eat. Like, I didn't even eat for a whole day. Whatever, go to bed. Wake up the next day, like, I didn't eat anything yesterday. I just, of course I drink a bunch of beer. That's like a sandwich in every beer. That's my motto. but it's like 12 sandwiches a day. But no, in general, it's like I'm pretty bad with eating, but when I smoke, kind of puts me into a schedule. And I think for some people, that's like that is the beginning of the whole deal, because maybe they don't eat, and I can do it. I can kind of burn it all and keep rolling. But I think the massive amounts of cannabis might be the possible balance between everything. But in general, for most people, like that's like maybe the missing link is that little tiny, like it's like the grease of the wheel, or it's just a little thing that kind of
it's like WD-40. It fixes so many things because so much stuff is just like everything has stuff that's a little stuck.
It's a little squeaky here. It's a little this there. Move this over.
You can use it for a lot of fixes.
Yeah, no, and it does have that, Dr. Bronner's WD-40. It's like everything in one, you know what I mean? It's kind of a little bit of like all our favorite products that kind of are those universal things, and the universal things seem amazing, and you're like, how can it do all those things? And those are like, yeah, it actually does.
It does
like, and with hemp, adding hemp to the mix, there's 50,000 more that they had, years ago, and probably 500,000 within 5 years, because people are going to run that stuff like, they definitely did not have spaceships in mind when they were talking about the 50,000 uses back in 1937.
Right.
But they
have
there's
all these different new uses,
or these batteries
or
that
whatever,
they're building, or so those uses were not included in those 50,000. So we're definitely moving up steadily to the hundreds of thousands.
Dude, could you make circuit boards with hemp plastic?
I would think so. I would think so.
Let's do that. That's a cool thing to do. We'll get investors for that quick.
Huge.
Peace out, guys.
That's it. We're done.
It gets into more like the making the graphene and whatnot, right? And then being able to potentially make processors and all kinds of other shit besides just the plastic that all the things.
And that's the crazy part about it is like I don't think anybody saw that one coming about 3 years ago. 4 years
it's fucking
ago.
bonkers, right?
Yeah.
And like even people that like started laying that, even people that started laying that stuff out, I think it was kind of seen as sort of a hippie pipe dream, and then. There's people showing the efficacy of it now, and
it
holds better than current technologies and silicon, and
it's biodegradable and totally disposable, and it's like
renewable.
Okay,
we can grow it by the thousands of acres.
Yeah, and we're going to actually. I mean, it's not like we're not gonna.
Yeah,
it's crazy because like already. I mean, I think Jersey's already said, go ahead, grow hemp, or like places like that. I think Jersey.
Really? I think Jersey hemp.
We were talking to a guy that came out from North Carolina, and the rest of his crew's coming out next week, and they have, everything, politicians, doctors, attorneys, all on their crew, and they found out what we were doing and basically want to do a similar model. And when he was talking numbers in like 300,000 acres. Yeah. And I mean, that's just like where you just see the horizon, right? And it's just nothing but hemp flowers as far as the eye can see. And they're wanting to do high cannabinoid, flowers, right? Cannabis, basically, like just fields and fields of big colas.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely getting interesting, and there's projects going on all over the world. Like all over the world, everybody's sort of like ears are perking up, and people are thinking like, wait a minute, we can make a finished product that comes out in a box that can be like totally like, oh, doesn't even look like cannabis, but it's either oils or different salves or whatever product, and start exporting them, because that's going to happen too real soon, because if you're not part of the EU or you're not part of the UN or you're not part of certain groups, it's okay because we're not under that group. But at a certain point, once you make a finished product and it looks like a little salve, people are going to stop. No one's going to care anymore at a certain point.
Especially if that salve like cures basal cell carcinoma or something, right? And without invasive, cutting the shit out of your skin. I mean, that's a fucking big deal.
Sure, and it's like comes in like a very professionally done, and it's all got the right paperwork and everything's organized.
Don't have a bunch of pot leaves all over it and stuff, right? Make it
exactly, and that's what's going to happen. And Canada's already got connections with Jamaica. There's already places that are already saying yes, the doors are open. So it'll be very interesting to see in the next 10 years how this. I mean, once people can pass it around internationally, obviously, cost effectiveness is one thing, but also just like certain locations can grow awesome things just because of where they are. I mean, like if you're in Jamaica, you can grow some pretty awesome cannabis. That's a guarantee.
I'm betting you can grow some dank ass hemp out in North Carolina fields, right? Like they grow a lot of shit out there that's fertile land. Like we're getting away with it in Colorado because it's the first place that we can. But yeah, if you really analyze soil structures and climates and
well, I mean, Kentucky's obviously
Louisiana's a nice place to grow things.
There's a lot of
delta soil.
And I think that Colorado has the acreage and the cash maybe behind it right now to do it and pull it
yeah.
together. The waters might become a situation down the road. That'll probably be the biggest
But I
thing.
mean, if you're
Yeah, I'm
growing
thinking-
any crop on those on that land, hemp is the best crop to grow because it's going to use the least water
Well, for the
per
most,
acre.
per acre for the most, but it actually is I mean, people always have the kind of notion it doesn't need water. It definitely needs water.
Yeah, but not compared to if you're growing whatever hops.
Yeah, it's what you get back for what you give is huge, much bigger. That's obvious. And then, but at the end of the day, you got to be like on top of those things because that's one of those things can be very debilitating to a big crop. And
Well, yeah, and if you're talking about growing,
300.
cannabis like medicinal hemp varieties, right?
Sure.
Basically, cannabis flowers with no THC in them. Those need care just like any cannabis plant, right? If
Right,
you're
you
trying
grow
to
it
do
the
that
same
well,
way.
you grow it basically the same way, and you need big mounds and drip irrigation. We're looking at this for our farm in Loveland. Are we really going to focus here on industrial hemp and like fanola or something, and really just row crop the hell out of it? In which case, we flood irrigate 3 times a year, and the thing's just going to bang itself out.
Sure.
Otherwise, to grow real cannabis, like we're going to need to, it's a different type of row crop.
well, you need like acres under glass to sort of get things
Ideally.
started, and you need to have like that,
Yeah.
because that would be your starts. That would be like if you're going to talk like hundreds of thousands of acres, you're going to need at least
That's got to be done by tissue.
at least
Right,
10
those-
acres under glass just to sort of think logically about getting the starts ready to put them out on the field because they'll need to be massive.
Yeah, that's either going to need tissue or it's going to need massive, like tons of seed, right? I mean,
Yeah, you need 30 pounds an acre. So I mean, you're going to talk about like 300,000 acres is millions of pounds. So
Yeah,
tens of millions,
it's a
tens
lot
of
of
millions.
a lot of
That's a
seeds.
shit ton of seed.
Yeah, so, and then you start talking like, okay, just by sheer volume, like 50 kilos is a sack, and how many can we fit in a,
Oh yeah, you're talking train cars full
yeah,
of seed.
yeah, like just like and like the ones that you get pissed off about that you're like,
Gee,
how
this
many
is
fucking
cartoonish.
cars
I'm
are on
waiting.
this thing? And you're like 300 cars long, and then if it was all hemp seeds, I'd be pretty stoked. I'd be pretty stoked, and I bet along that trail. It would be just pretty awesome.
would
'cause
fall
the
off.
train with the whole train line will just become hemp after a while because it'd be so much if they move that much hemp seeds. And
The birds would like
Happen to
eat
break-
them real quick and then go
you
poop.
tell the guy, okay, as you're loading them up, you make sure one bag's ripped. Just I want to see the trail.
It's going to be kind of a fun time to be alive, man. Like this is going to
Yeah.
be fun shit to do.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome, and like the dream back in the day for everybody was to I wish I could just like run through a field of cannabis, and then back in the day we got to do some hemp fields, and it was cool, but it was like also became almost cliche as a hemp company. Like everyone was like, yeah, we should do like a photo shoot out in the hemp field. And I was like, I don't really want to do it anymore. I'm kind of bored of it. It's like but they were never really that big. They were always a couple acres here and there. And then in China we got to see some big stuff, but in general it was to see it in America. Dream stuff, like huge, like
Yeah, there's hundreds of acres going online next year, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
we're running, an 8-acre property with all the greenhouses and everything on it. We're probably going to do a few acres in the back of that, but then we got another 13-acre plot that we're rowing the hell out of that thing.
nice. Yeah, no, it's going to be. And the thing is, that with all of those things, 8 acres is small by some matter, but with the right strains can be huge, and with also the just then done really well.
It's the processing and everything after the growing.
You can do a lot of damage on a small piece of property like
Yeah.
that, and
Well, and really beta test it out for then moving into 300,000 the next year, right? And have proven cultivars. Then you have enough seed theoretically. I mean, 10 acres of plants makes a lot of seed.
yeah, not quite 300,000 acres, but
No,
you still have to-
not that many train cars, but maybe a train car.
you still have to get some more imported or whatever. But I think that's going to also get cooler too, hopefully, because that's one of those things holding everything back right now is seed still.
Yep, it's still one of the limiting factors. So
and people are going to start to gouge each other when they can get the good ones.
we should do a hemp show.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I'm taking away. We should do another show on the international legal cannabis trade.
Right.
And also, we have 7 minutes left because we're already into our wrap up.
Oh man.
So-
of course.
First, let's thank Dave from Elite for coming down.
Of course,
And
making it down.
Joel, Ashley, and
Thanks for
Noah
having me.
Malou for coming through to the
Thanks.
studio to share their story and introduce us to Noah. Okay, so with that said, let's talk about New Year's Eve and the transition and what's going on, man. That's why I scheduled 6 minutes to talk about it, bud.
6 whole minutes. All right, that's good.
That's good, right?
Yeah,
And
it's perfect. Well, as I guess people are starting to figure out, this is our last transmission from the studio here at iCannabis Radio.
so if you go to iCannabis Radio on Wednesday at 11:30 from now on,
it's gonna be
we will not be there.
It's going to be a big sign saying nobody home, right?
Nobody.
Is it going to be? Can we have a swinging sign? Is that possible?
Can you do that? Is that, Chris, is that your I'll talk to Bike.
Gone snowboarding, it should say. Yeah, right? Because, I mean, you're going to be snowboarding next Wednesday for sure.
Yeah, there you go. Chris is free.
Chris is so stoked he's going snowboarding. We were kind of hoping to be online actually today magically somehow because we thought we could pull it together, but that was already a pipe dream. Then give Chris the magic ticket to say go, and then it would have been awesome. But no, this is as close
Sorry,
as we
bud.
got.
That was
And
but we are online tonight.
Officially on.
And Murphy Murray makes it during wrap up. Awesome, bravo!
This is perfect.
Bravo, Murphy Murray. She pulls it off.
Last 5 minutes of the last one.
Yeah, that's exactly where
She tagged in.
She came in. Ding.
I don't even know why.
So tonight
from
7 to
New
10.
Year's Eve, starting around 7:10ish.
Yeah, 7:10ish.
I might not be there at 7:10, but Adam will. Broadcasting into next year.
Into the whole year. Like we're gonna do it.
The Adam Dunn Show brings you into
all the way till next year.
2015. 2015. That's so weird. I'm gonna write it wrong. How long will you write it wrong for?
Oh, at least about a month.
A month.
Yeah, I do about a month. Where I'll even put
scribble it out.
I'll even go in reverse and start putting like last year's or something stupid like that. That's
do 13. You're like, I know it's different. I just can't remember which way different.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just kind of go backwards or something.
13 seems familiar.
13 was good.
2015 though, it's on Adam Dunn Show, new studio, the Adam Dunn Show Studios.
We're gonna have lots of drop-ins, obviously, because it's New Year's, and we're gonna be trying to call some people up and invite them to the new thing, new format, and
yeah, Adam's gonna be calling people on New Year's Eve, which is hysterical.
Well, it's
time
7
all around.
o'clock. It's early enough to call. I can see how it went down in Holland and see how it's post New Year's when people are already hammered.
Okay.
So we'll get the already hammered version, and then we'll get the New York version.
Sure.
And then we'll get the.
Oh, we're gonna bring it in. Oh, and we might have. I think Ryan said we have Skype capability, so we can actually make it like the news. I don't know if they'll have it on their phones or such, but we'll see if we can set.
We'll see what we can pull together. It's going to be a technological catastrophe. I would.
The catastrophe starts here. The catastrophe starts right here.
Right now.
The URL to broadcast it is not available to me right now.
What?
It's not. It's not available to anyone yet because Ryan has to schedule the broadcast on Ustream and get the URL. But we are posting it. Everyone's going to post it out. If you guys, please, if you're watching it and you dig it, please share it. We're trying to kind of like bring in the new year in a big way with this thing. Honestly, I don't know who's going to be on the news, but they're not going to be, or on whatever, the mainstream channels, but they're not going to be smoking. I can guarantee that.
And any other ways they're going to be able to get it?
On the internet.
Yeah, besides Facebook, of course.
Okay, so you check the Facebook. I'll put it out on our Twitter, never used, but I'll put it out.
Okay.
I'll put it out on our Instagram, seldom, used 6 times.
Yeah.
I'll put it out on my Facebook. You'll put it out on your Facebook. Murphy Murray will put it out.
What about just to the Adam Dunn Show?
Oh, the Adam Dunn Show.
.tv.
.tv. I don't have direct control over yet.
No.
I'll hit up Eric. But you want to know what?
Yeah.
On this special occasion, I will see what I can do about making it the thing at adamdunnshow.com. So if you go to adamdunnshow.com, good call. Mm-hmm. It will link to our New Year's episode.
Okay,
that will be it. So go to adamdunnshow.com tonight, 7:10 through whenever you get to partying.
Yeah.
Listen to us jabber. I think it's going to be a train wreck of a show. Bud.
It's going to be the best train wreck ever.
Time to that. It's late.
Murphy Murray, if you show up before next year, I will be pleasantly surprised.
It's gonna be train wrecky, but that's what we're gonna need. And we're gonna need a lot of feedback from everybody too. So we're gonna have to come up with some magic call-in number that we're gonna have to come up with during the show.
We can buy a burner.
Yeah, we might have to buy a burner.
I have a burner.
Oh, cool. We might have to
You gotta recharge it if you want to use it though.
Oh, we might have a burner.
We could buy a burner.
Whatever. All right. We'll get a number tonight. Check it all out.
Maybe a Google Voice.
We can get some feedback from around the world. Hopefully, see how much love we get. We got
Skype. Oh no! People can call in right on Skype.
Cool.
We'll set that up. I'll put Ryan on that.
All right, sounds good. And
what else is going on? A minute and a half left. Shout outs, buddy.
Shout out to my beautiful wife Cece, who's feeling a little bit down under the weather.
Under the weather.
Hopefully she's feeling better.
I hope so too.
She's been resting, and little Nick, who's now at the farm to chill out with Graham and relax and not have to get all blown away with fireworks at 2 years old. I think it's a bit much. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have Farron out there on a stick or something. Holding her up.
Shout out to my wonderful wife, Reese, and little baby Farron. I can't wait to see you guys for lunch if you guys are listening. They are not coming out tonight for similar reasons.
See? I told you so. There you go. I was like,
yeah, so
I was actually bummed. I was like, oh, great, you're going to bring Farron, and now Nick's going to be gone. And
yeah, no, it's not. We good.
Okay.
I'm glad. That's actually a huge load off my chest. Shoulders, whatever. So I will now ring in the New Year's with Adam, live streaming it.
Live streaming.
Till next year.
It's going to be awesome. And
AdamDunnShow.com.
It's been fun. It's been fun here.
And yeah, shout outs and tons
for
of
keeping
thanks.
it together for the whole time. I think we only missed a couple. We missed one.
What's that? You missed an episode?
Did we miss a week or something? Like
I
officially,
never missed a week.
Like physically, did we miss 1 week?
No,
ever?
I don't think so.
I did. Like, I was out of town.
As the archivist of the show, I haven't encountered it.
I don't think we did. I think we nailed it every single time. Right? That's not too bad. That's pretty amazing. I don't think I've done that in school ever.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Also, last thing, guys, we have a Vimeo channel right now.
Yes.
Vimeochannel.com/channel/tad or Vimeo.com/channel/tads TADS. Anyway, with that said, we definitely want to thank iCannabis Radio, Chris, for holding it down and making the show happen through rain, sleet, snow, and hail.
All the listeners for listening.
Everybody for listening in, participating in the chat room. Our new show will be up and live at AdamDunnShow.com and AdamDunnShow.tv next Wednesday.
We'll have access to that channel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So who knows? We could be getting crazy.
Yeah, that studio, if we're hanging out, it's literally next door to Adam's house.
Yeah,
we could be there quite a lot.
Yeah, there could be a lot of wackiness going down.
All right, guys.
The fundraiser page. I'll post it up.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely post up the fundraiser page for Noah and the Lulu family so you guys can contribute, shout out, contact them, whatever you want to do. And we'll be blasting that out pretty on the reg. Yeah, stay tuned. We'll talk to you guys later. If you guys are going to be at New Year's, come on through. Dave, if you want to come through, you're certainly invited. I know you got a big crew. They're all invited if you want.
Word.
Obviously, fam, invited. Chris, you got New Year's plans? No idea. Invited. If you're sitting here, Murphy Murray, you're invited. The kids are already there. Crunchy's there. Adam and I will be there.
Yep.
Come on down to Green Labs, 1250 31st Street, Denver, Colorado. Maybe you'll even get a glimpse. Maybe you'll even be on our New Year's broadcast if we figure that piece out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be like, what, $60 at the door or something like that.
I don't know. It'll be cheap for a New Year's party, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Crunchy is cooking up a storm. We're pairing Colorado beer, Colorado herb. They went and picked it up from Boulder Wellness because they were like, what's the best herb we can get? Organic.
Yep.
We want quality only. We want something that we know we can trust the flavors of for Crunchy to do the pairings. Hands down, blind vote. Everyone agreed. Boulder Wellness.
Nice.
So that's it. Unanimous Boulder Wellness. You can check them out.
And Illegal is going to be sponsoring it also. So there'll be lots of
Legals too?
Yeah,
there you go.
There's going to be other herb there.
So check us out. We'll be down there tonight. And again, AdamDunnShow.com. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.